participants, and our receivers just excuses for some time because our VC sir will be joining the session within 5 minutes. So the moment he joins, we'll be starting the session. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello, Aparna.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, Aparna, you're audible.
Pranam to everyone.
Pranam.
Subhendu sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, it is audible, sir. We'll start within few minutes, sir. His Honorable VC sir is going to join. So we'll start, sir. Just a minute.
So are there students also here?
Yes?
Are there students also participating in this?
Yeah. Students, faculty members, and
Yes, Suvendu sir. Am I audible, Suvendu sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
I can hear you.
yeah. Very good afternoon. Soon we will be starting the program. So
Oh, sure,
actually, yes, we are waiting for Honorable VC sir. So soon
Absolutely.
we will be starting, and in this audience, like faculty members and students, even skilled entrepreneurs are also there.
Wonderful.
So they'll be joining. Great.
No, I
So
can
shall we wait
see
for
some
a few
faculty
minutes?
there.
Exactly. Let's wait for a few seconds. So.
Sure, sir.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. No, sir, VP sir has joined us.
So very good afternoon, Honorable VC Sir. I think Sir is with us. Honorable VC Sir.
Yeah, very good afternoon to you.
Very good afternoon, sir. And sir, with your kind permission, shall we start the program?
Sure. Please start. Yeah, please start.
Thank you, sir. Nobody talks about entrepreneurship as a survival, but it's exactly what is, what nurtures creative thinking. Running that first shop taught me business is not a financial science. It's all about trading, buying, and selling. These were the words of Anita Roddick, founder of The Baby Shop. With these words, we'll start today's session. Professor O.R.S. Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, ICFA University, Jharkhand. Professor Arvind Kumar, Registrar. Today's honorable guest, Dr. Shubhendu Kumar Mishra, Associate Professor, Geetam University. And Dr. Aparna Singh, Founder and Managing Director, Mansofi Biz Private Limited. Dr. Bhagwat Bari, Assistant Dean, FMS. Head of all the departments, Dr. Rumna, Dr. Susan, Dr. Hariharan, Dr. Satyendra Kishore Sir, Dr. Shubhi Chattopadhyay Sir, and all my faculty colleagues. And last but not the least, our skilled entrepreneurs in Jharkhand and all our dear students who are looking for career in entrepreneurship. A very good and wet afternoon to one and all. Welcome you all to the session 2, Women Entrepreneurship Challenges in the Current Era. The Impact Lecture Session are sponsored by Ministry of Education, Innovation Cell, Government of India, AICTE, and Institution Innovation Council, ICFA University, Jharkhand. Now, may I request our tech team to play the lighting of lamp video. Over to tech.
शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपः ज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपः ज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
And now, may I request our Honorable VC Sir to welcome for the welcome address. Over to you, sir. VC Sir.
Today's guest of honor, Dr. Shubhendu Kumar Mishra ji, Associate Professor from Geetam University. Madam Aparna Singh, the founder and the managing director of Mansofi Biz Private Limited. Professor Arvind Kumar, our registrar. Dr. Bhagwat Bari, Assistant Dean. And all of our senior faculty members, students, and the other guests. A very good afternoon and hearty welcome to all of you to today's the Impact Lecture. The theme is the women entrepreneurs and what are the challenges that are faced by them. As such, every entrepreneur faces a challenge, whether it is a man or woman. So the challenges are multifold because when some of us, excepting for Madam Aparna Singh, rest of us, we are all participating in this. We are all employees. So all of us as employees, by the end of the month, we get our salary. That gives the kind of a financial security and a specific job that is there, and so that's a different world altogether. But entrepreneur is one that wants to be himself or herself. He's got some passion, something he wants to do or she wants to do, and sort of सोचने के बाद काम करके दिखाना है उधर तो. So I think that's what they do. In fact, including all of us as faculty members, there are a lot of faculty members that teach, entrepreneurship. And we also have got a lot of our PhD scholars. They do PhD in entrepreneurship. In fact, a couple of sort of a months back, there was a PhD YOC. That time I was asking them, like in fact, you're doing PhD in the entrepreneurship, but are you not thinking of being an entrepreneur yourself? They say, oh, no, sir, that's not for me. Sir, I prefer teaching and I write a book and this is my core competence. That's not for somebody else. So that means that, if somebody wants to become an entrepreneur, I think it requires a different mindset altogether. So the mindset is, yes, sort of something new I want to do, and it could be an idea, it can be sort of some thought, something that they take it and, make it, something like, value proposition, make it a business out of that, make it happen into that. So coming and sort of talking of, the women entrepreneurs. So while of course, all of us say that, yes, we need to have a gender equality. The women, sort of, everywhere, all over the world, in some societies, the kind of challenges are more when compared with others. But otherwise, women by themselves, face, challenges when compared with men because of various reasons. Could be sort of the biological reasons and the role that they take, in the family itself. Because sort of a man, like in fact, man is made, to become, a professional and a money-making machine. So none of you don't mistake me that, But, a woman has to play multiple roles. So woman has to play a role, starting with, when she is a child, starts helping out her mother. A lot of sons don't help the parents, let me tell you so much. But we have seen, the girl children, they start helping out, their mothers and their families. And along with that, they go and do the studies. And after that, like when once they get into kind of, a job, and then typically in the Indian system, in some societies, the girls get married much kind of, younger. We have seen in our own kind of, university, some kind of a girls, they don't get an opportunity to do a job. Immediately sort of they get married. So then marriage, children, take care of kind of, family. Sort of those challenges are faced by the women, sort of everywhere. In fact, as a matter of fact, we have seen some of the kind of, the girl students that are there, during the studies itself, they get married. So with the result, leading a kind of married life and sort of an education there. But at the same time, what we have seen is, the women are capable of doing multiple roles. Not to offend any of my kind of colleague men, sort of we have seen them, like they can handle multiple roles, very, very successfully. I think that's by nature. I think that's a God-given gift to the women. So in the sense, they can manage all of them satisfactorily. And we have seen that generally when compared with men, they are a lot more, patient and tolerant. And I think there are so many kind of challenges that they face into that. So with these things, when sort of they enter the not a job, but getting into an entrepreneurship, the challenges are a lot more. And the challenges are, I think, especially from outsiders. In fact, we have seen that, the India itself has seen so many women entrepreneurs, being so successful. Like you take something like, Biocon, you take, like, Kiran Majumdar Shah, sort of she faced so many challenges. She came from a very humble family. She was not born with a silver spoon or golden plate or something, And like her, there are so many entrepreneurs, they have been some of them, a number of them, but the first generation entrepreneurs. Inheriting the kind of, a family, like in terms of the Ambanis, it could be different. It could be Ambani's and my previous employer, like, the HCL Technologies, So there, in fact, Mr. Shiv Nada's sort of a daughter, Roshni Nada, she has, now she has become, something like, the second in person to that, But these are some situations where, the woman has, they have inherited certain things. They got groomed. Similarly, we have seen in certain groups also, like the Birla groups, we have seen, a lot of women, rising to the top. while in some of the groups there has been a taboo, particularly in the southern based kind of a groups, there was so much so that some of the women in the families, they had to go and file a case because they were not allowed to enter the boardrooms into that. So that way, like in fact, these challenges typically, as I say, more than their capability. The capability wise, they are equally good. In certain ways, maybe they are even better in terms of temperament, in terms of building relations. We find they are sort of better. In our own university, we have seen that a lot of times we find women, they don't have so many other distractions as men into that. Like we see our students, there were so many distractions, starting with cricket to so many things, but in our own university, we find that roughly about 20 to 25% are girls. But if you look at the toppers, there's something like 60-70% of the toppers are girls. So that itself shows that sort of the girls, given an opportunity, they can excel. They do kind of much better than men. Same thing applies in terms of the entrepreneurship. But the issues are essentially with regard to the outsiders, and typically the issues are with regard to the attitudes. The cases where I mentioned, like where the women as a successor, they allowed them to come, whether you take, kind of Mukesh Ambani family or the HCL Tech family or some of the families. But whereas in certain families, it is sort of the attitude of the kind of a man, kind of, not to allow them to get into that. So I think that is something that I think there's a challenge that women face. Sort of it's not the employees, because I remember maybe 20-30 years back that kind of problem used to be there. Sort of women managers, but now that's not there. If you take IT industry, so many women are there, and you take education, so many women are there. You take banking, in certain sectors we have seen predominance of women, much more than in the other sectors. So, but at the same time, I think the society, the kind of colleagues, and some of these people, that it calls for some attitudinal changes to allow them and to empower them to become the kind of entrepreneurs into that and success into that. I think that is where the kind of the biggest challenge. And I really compliment Dr. Bhagavat Barik and the team to have taken up such a topic which is socially and economically relevant. Because we will be able to harness, we have been talking of the demographic dividend. The demographic dividend is not just in terms of the demography, in terms of the population. It's also the demographic dividend in terms of the gender kind of the aspect is there. Sort of so many women are excellent. They are very good intellectually. So I think we need to kind of get the kind of the dividend out of the gender equality in the entrepreneurship. So I'm convinced that if you give them that opportunity and chance, I think the women entrepreneurs, definitely they can excel, and they can bring a lot more dividends, the gender kind of inequality dividends to the country as a whole. Because ours is a country, while so many other countries they talk of the gender equality, because ours is the country that has produced the women president, women prime ministers. Some of the Western kind of a world, we haven't seen that much at all. For instance, you take the United States, they talk so much, but we haven't seen, the woman president to that. Whereas, our country has produced the kind of, we have elevated all the people, allowed them to come up to the level of presidents and prime ministers and governors and chief ministers, and they are doing exceedingly well. So why not the entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs also, I think today, large manner of them. I think we need to empower them and enable them. And with these few words, sort of thank you very much, and I wish this seminar, the Impact Lecture Series, a success.
Thank you so much, Honorable Vice Chancellor, ICFA University, Jharkhand. Now, Dr. Shubhendu Kumar Mishra, our honorable guest of today's afternoon, is Associate Professor, Geetam University. Dr. Mishra is a global jury and mentor of Wadhwani Foundation, member of Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, India, recognized innovation ambassador under AICTE He is also a mentor in Startup Odisha. Now may I request our today's guest of honor, Dr. Shubhendu Kumar Mishra, to address the gathering. Over to you, Dr. Mishra.
Yes, sir. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir, you're very much, sir. Please.
Okay. Thank you for such introduction. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor O.R.S. Rao, Jharkhand, ICFA University, Jharkhand. Honorable Registrar, Professor Arvind Kumar, and Professor Prabhupada Parik, Associate Dean, and all the faculty members, esteemed faculty members, and students, as well as you said, that there are also certain entrepreneurs present in the session. So I must extend my gratitude to the management and the organizing committee of IIC for inviting me here. And it's such a pleasure to be here. And I also congratulate you about selecting this relevant topic. The interesting part is male speaking about women entrepreneurships. I think probably kind of an outlier. I can very much associate with Dr. Aparna Singh being an entrepreneur herself. But when I'm trying to talk about, so when this thing came up to me, so I was just kind of perplexed and thinking about what should I speak. Okay, and so I have prepared a small deliberation, and before I start, should I ask you that how much time I have to talk about this?
Sir, you can proceed, sir. You can please proceed. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, sir. Please.
Okay, so can I start with my presentation, because I have a presentation here. So can I do that?
Please, please, sir. Please. You can.
So that may probably take some time, and fine. So if you can allow me to share my screen.
Sir, you have been given the permission. You can share.
Yeah, I'm just doing it. I hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Perfect. So I may take a little more time speaking on this. Please stop me if I step on the time. So before I start, and as I said that we are talking about the challenges of women entrepreneurship in the current era, and where maybe COVID, if you take for example, I'm trying to not being very specific with the challenges that the women entrepreneurs are currently facing because of COVID and the pandemic, because that is something which is unprecedented. But I would rather try to talk in a general sense, because when I speak about challenges, I have to also talk about a few other things which are driving it towards that. So before I begin, let me start with this small quote from Oprah Winfrey. I'm a very large admirer of her. So where it say that follow your passion, and if you don't know what it is, realize that one reason for your existence on earth is to find it. Now, when it comes to the women entrepreneurs, and especially to talk about women, and I'll just put another disclaimer here that whenever I'm speaking in the presentation, I may use female entrepreneurship and women entrepreneurship simultaneously, so don't get confused. I'm actually talking about the women entrepreneurship only. So this is all about that passion which we are talking about, and when bringing on entrepreneurship as a concept, or entrepreneurship as something. Honorable Vice Chancellor was talking in a while that how it is more about action, how it's more about somebody's passion to do a difference or bring a difference in the society. Now that I thought of making this presentation into a couple of questions and try to find an answers to it. So the basic thing that we'll start with, because we are talking about women entrepreneurship, so it is somehow to start with. I know there are certain people who are already aware of these terms and concepts, but I just want to, kind of make a quick refreshing of what entrepreneurship means to us and who, according to us, is an entrepreneur, right? And we have our own convictions regarding what is entrepreneurship and who is an entrepreneur. I will probably ask people, if you are active in the chats, you can probably write something on the chat. So what do you mean when we call entrepreneurship? Okay, and if I want to give you an option, I can tell you that whether it is a career option, it is an activity, it is a calling, it is some kind of occupation, right? So there are multiple things which comes to our mind. And if you try to look at entrepreneurship, what it is more about a set of activities where we say it is exploiting opportunity. So what sort of opportunity which is exploited, it's identified, it's evaluated, it's exploited, that makes entrepreneurship. And who is an entrepreneur? If you talk about that it is an activity, then it has to be performed by someone. So in that case, who is an entrepreneur? So while coming to who is an entrepreneur, and when we look at this question comes to our mind, the flashes comes of people, okay, either successful entrepreneurs or unsuccessful. But if you classify them and then try to understand a little bit about who is this entrepreneurs are, so we'll find out a basic difference in entrepreneurship, which is proposed by these two economists, okay? And I hope some of you probably are aware of it, but I'll just kind of make a quick briefing about it. Now this Schumpeter versus Krisner's entrepreneur is a very popular view of how we look at entrepreneurs, and be it a male or a female, we can very much relate to what kind of entrepreneurs they speak of. So when the competitive view we look at, we try to see somebody, an entrepreneur is the one who is bringing a change through innovation, or they're trying to create new opportunities. Whereas, we talk about Krisner had a different view of entrepreneurs, or who is an entrepreneur. What Krisner said, that entrepreneur is someone who benefit from information. So it doesn't matter that whether they are bringing something new or not. It is the one who used to take advantage of the market asymmetries available. And it is something like a trader who knows where to procure something and where to sell it at a higher price. Actually, what he is doing or she is doing is trying to take advantage of that asymmetry which is available in the market. And when we try to look at entrepreneurs from these two types, we can very much relate. There are multiple people, and there is a way of doing certain things. Coming to the third aspect of the entrepreneur who is, and we come to this. So this is something which is more on a differentiation part of the entrepreneur. So starting with when Schumpeter says about innovation, creative destruction, Kirchner said about arbitrage, where you are very much aware about the differences available in the market and you take that as an advantage to yourself. According to Schumpeter, it is more about disequilibrium. Now you are creating a disequilibrium in the market, whereas starting from equilibrium market considered to be in equilibrium state, you are bringing a new innovation, you are making it more disequilibrium in the nature. Whereas Krisner is more about starting from disequilibrium to equilibrium, so you bring them to that direction. Where Schumpeter's entrepreneur is more on the size of creation of opportunity. They create opportunity through new processes, new product services. Okay, where it is Krisner's is more about discovering those opportunities. They said it is already present somewhere, and you have to spot it. So you have to be alert in terms of spotting it. Schumpeter's entrepreneur is rare because we talk about some people who are very, very innovative, and they have brought out products and services which have created a change in the world. Whereas Krisner is more about being a commoner. Okay, it's more on those information, more on the knowledge, and you create a difference. Where it's more about requiring new information, then it is no new information required. So it is basically to use that information and how to take advantage of that. The third aspect of entrepreneur, which we will talk here, is the effectual entrepreneur, or the reasoning that we bring here called effectual reasoning. Now, for this, I want to give you a small example that which is our mothers and our the female members at home are very good at. So whenever, like, we come home, or I talk to my wife about something regarding I'm hungry or something. So she used to make something very quickly, right? Find out some means from here and there and try to make something. And I think a lot of those women are very good in that. So this effectual entrepreneur is a concept which is given by Sara Saraswati from University of Darden, where she said about an effective entrepreneur or effectual entrepreneur is one who starts with ends. Actually, it's not about I start collecting my resources first and then start to move ahead with making an enterprise. It's more on I create, then I start collecting my means in the process. So that is called the effectual reasoning process, which is different from the causal reasoning, which we do call means and ends framework. So we have to look at the means first, and then we move on to finding the ends. But here it is more starting from the ends, and then we move on to the means. There is a quick process which Saraswati has said about effectual entrepreneurs, where it starts with the means. Means basically talk about who you are, what you know, and how much people you know, or what is your network that you know. And that's where the entrepreneurs start, right? So basically it is a starting point for the individual. Then it is the goals, and goals, when you set your goals, you always go not by what you're going to achieve, you rather go by what you cannot lose, or how much you are willing to lose in the process. So that's called the affordable loss principle. And every entrepreneur, if you try to look at their journey, maybe some successful entrepreneurs we see has done and study on, but if you look at any entrepreneur, probably you will try to connect it either them through a Schumpeterian view, or through a Kerzner's view, or the effectual logic. Then the third one is about interactions or commitments. So how it moves on is more about what kind of a network you are building on. I mean, it doesn't matter who are the people whom are coming in contact with you. Sometimes you may not be expecting something of a collaboration, but something may come out, right? So collaborations are very, very important. Commitments are very, very important. Interactions. Similarly, there is something called leverage surprises. That means, which Saraswati said about the lemonade principle. Say that if life gives you lemons, so make lemonade out of it. So it is more about accepting, anticipating those uncertainties, and then take advantage of that. So you should not be bogged down by something which is adverse to you. Rather, you should see what kind of opportunity I can create here. So if you see my previous one, where I have said that a wise man will make more opportunity than he finds. So it is the same thing which we try to look at from the leveraging the surprises, and then you create new means and goals. And this process continues. And last one, we'll talk about that what you are creating, are you in control of it? So it's called the pilot in the plane principle. So where you are in absolute control of the things. Now, why I bring out this particular concept here is about looking at entrepreneurship in general, or who is an entrepreneur according to our viewpoints. And it is easy for us now to connect with different types of entrepreneurs, that either which is a male or a female, doesn't matter. But the style remains the same. It's the way of doing certain things. It's a way of bringing a change. It's a way of spotting, evaluating, exploiting opportunities. So that's what makes all the differences. Now, can we just quickly do some, because I understand that, see some, I'll show some pictures here, just identify, we'll go quickly about, these are pictures of certain ladies. If you can tell me that, very nice. You can chat also, or you can use the chat box to do that. So can you identify the lady here? Anybody? I'm sorry, I didn't have the picture of Dr. Aparna also. I would have added that. I have 3-4 pictures here. But anyway, she is already physically present, so she can talk about that. So can anyone say who is this lady here receiving the Padma Shri from the president? Google is allowed. You can do Googling, no problem. Okay, so she is Jaswantiben Popat. Now, name must be unfamiliar, but if you tell about the organization which they have created, it's called Lijjat Papad, one of the biggest cooperatives in the world. And so she is one among the founders, where say they have started something like 1953 with a meager 70 rupees, 8 women from a tenement in Mumbai. So if can somebody identify this lady? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are audible. May I request audience, can you please unmute and say if you know the answer?
Or you can chat, you can write in the chat
Or
box also.
even, yes, in the chat box also you can write.
Okay, so well, let me not make it as a secret. So this lady's name is Dr. Hemalata Annamalai. She is the founder, co-founder, in fact, co-founder of Ampere Electric Vehicle. Okay, it's a Coimbatore-based company. Okay, and very famous. Recently, there have been stakes from Tata's, and Greaves has actually taken over. She is very famous. So, make a guess, who is she? Okay, she is Anu Aga, the chairman nowadays. She's not anymore. She's no more chairman of that company, but she has been chairman of a company called Thermax. It is an engineering and energy company. And interestingly, this company was founded by her father, but she was just working there as an employee, as a HR head, till the time her husband died. And after that, 1996, she became the chairman, and then she took it to a different level, this organization. I have one more here. Again, this lady is receiving a Padma Shri from the president. Any guesses of this? I hope the pictures are visible to you.
Yes, sir, visible, visible.
Yeah. So her name is Kalpana Saroj. Now she is considered to be the first Dalit entrepreneur, and she is associated with a company called Kamani Tubes. Right, again is a company which is into manufacturing, right, and had a very rough past, right, married at an early age, lost family, very poor background, and there's an example which Sir also is giving about Kiran Mazumdar. There are so many examples, but why I brought these few examples here, I'll just tell you about that. And the last one is, I think, is very famous. Everybody probably can relate quickly. Is Falguni Nair, the founder of Nykaa, right, the company who has clocked like 13 billion US dollar in valuation. Okay, so everybody is talking about this. It's like storming in the stock market. Now, why I just talk about, and including my co-panelist here, Dr. Aparna Singh as well. So these are not the limited examples that we have when we talk about entrepreneurs, but if you look at the stories of how they have created these enterprises, or how they have started these enterprises, it helps us to connect with the types which I have just talked about a few minutes before. It's about what kind of style that they follow. Is it something that they have really been conscious about, that I want to start an enterprise? Something like Kalpana Saroj never thought of starting an enterprise. So just trying to have some menial job to make the means. I mean, just to make a day's meal. So they never thought of that she will start an enterprise which is like 2,000 crores of value. So sometimes it is this stories which inspires. So like the lady Jaswantben Popat in the 1953s. Okay, certain ladies come together, start off doing something which makes them independent. Or someone who is like Hemlata Annamalai, who is a graduate from RMIT, okay, thought of coming here, doing something with technology. She's a computer science graduate, doing something with technology, getting into that sphere. So everybody has a unique story to tell, and everybody's way or the way they think of starting a business or doing a business is very, very different. Now that brings us to another question. So I have some links here if you want to see more of such examples. And I think the examples will be unlimited of today's India. You'll find thousands of examples of ladies and their illustrious careers and the history that how they have started their enterprise and how they brought them into success. So a quick definition of it, which is basically taken from the Government of India's website. So this is how the women entrepreneurs are being defined. So I will not take more time here, right? So basically, someone who is invested at least 51% of the capital in setting up the enterprise is considered to be the woman entrepreneur. And today, if you are a majority stakeholder in any business, if you are a woman and you are a majority stakeholder, now according to the Startup India scheme, Government of India is to give you a stipend, which is around 20,000 rupees of stipend is being paid. Now that brings us to the second question, which I said now you have understood about the kind of entrepreneurs we talk about, and the first thing that we have tried to figure out about who they are. Question number two comes is what are the various routes of women entrepreneurs in India? So how do they? What are the models that they choose to start a business? Because if you see these ladies which have said, their way of starting a business is very, very different. It's not like a private limited company or something. So what are these different models of women entrepreneurship in India and how they have started their businesses? So we have these 4 types, and you can probably differ with me, but basically when I searched, I found out these are the 4 different types by which you basically find the enterprises created by women in India. The first one is self-help groups, and I don't have the exact figures right now, but if you look at the figures given by NABARD, and so they are the major kind of institutions promoting self-help groups in India. So they say it's more like 45 lakhs of SHGs currently operational in India, and they are doing extremely good. They're starting from the variety of businesses are very, very wide, right? It's starting from handicraft, it's starting from the home-based industries to livestock, to a lot of things which these people are doing. Then the second group is the enterprises which are born out of NGOs. The NGOs play a very significant role, which in a lot of things. So they help in capacity building and helping them to this livelihood promotion activities. They help in taxes and legal aspects. Okay, and then they help in training of ladies. So all the aspects where the NGOs are supportive of playing a very active role in helping the enterprises. And certain enterprises again which are born out of that. The third group is a lot of cooperatives which we see. There's a women-run cooperatives. Again, the numbers may vary because whatever statistics we have, something like 6,000 or such cooperatives, but that is old data. But if you can look at more, you'll find out there are different cooperatives being created only by women. And lastly, the startup, because everybody is today talking about startup. So all the 4 different statutory type of businesses, like the one-person companies, the LLPs, the private limited companies, the public limited companies, all of them can be put down here in startups. And there where we are talking, or we're talking about that young India which is coming in, which is more relying on innovation, which is more relying on technology, digital technologies, taking advantage of that. Okay, and this is how the roots of or the business models how we see exist in India. Now let us understand a little bit about the status of women entrepreneurship. When we are talking about current era, we're talking about, so let's see about a little on that. And we will start from the global perspective, then we come to Indian perspective. So I have brought this information from different studies which have been done specifically on the women entrepreneurship all around. So so first one is about American Express study. It's on like 1997 to 2013. How the women-owned companies increased by 59%, and revenues from those companies grew by 63%. So that's not all. Around the globe, they lead one of 5 startups around. So this is very kind of clothing kind of figure, which is very optimistic in nature. This is a study where I've been a part of doing this for a long time. So GEM Global Entrepreneurship Monitor study, they do a TEA activity rate. It's called the total entrepreneurial activity rate in a country, and where they found that around 244 million women globally are involved in business startups, in addition to 139 million women of owners. And this study is done in almost like 47 different countries, including India. And you also see that there's established businesses and 144 million women informal investors globally. So how that gives us these figures of. And this one is 1 in 5 women surveyed globally reported an intention to start a business within the next 3 years, compared to 1 in 4 men. So this is how, the optimism is active among women, and that's what also is part of called nascent entrepreneurial activity of women. And it's a comparison that has been done with male also. Now there is a small scenario that I want to give it in India. So just look at this thing. I'm just going a little quick on this part. So this is how we see that a study which was done by Edelweiss. Edelweiss has found this data. There more than 1/3 women entrepreneurs were into retail, followed by service delivery, and list of 3 into manufacturing. So manufacturing is something which is considered to be a male-dominated sector, but that's also now breaking it. So the ceiling is breaking, right? So look at this. I'll just quickly move on this part. Coming to this part again is bit bleak, though we said that there are very interesting and optimistic features of it, but still we'll see that how this comparison of participation of women in the entrepreneurship area is still dimming. It's not that. So Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation reports women comprise as much like 13.76% of the total entrepreneurs of India. Still that number is not very exciting. And the top 5 states in India, which you see that it's like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, and Maharashtra, they are leading. And I think all of the people who have watched this, this is a brighter side of looking at how entrepreneurs in India, or women entrepreneurs, especially in India, are doing. So what they have reported is around 48% of the pitchers were women. 49% of ventures that received funding had a woman co-founder, and 50% of ventures funded had a solo woman founder. So it's interesting that women are coming out and then they are taking part in ventures which are highly innovative. Now, like I said, that though we have it, we have still certain caveat present here. The first one, we look at the World Bank estimate. Okay, so 432 million working age women in India, about 343 million are not in paid formal work. So now that consists of everything. It can also include jobs. And estimated 324 million of these women are not in the labor force. Another 19 million are in the labor force but not employed. So it's about informal, that sector which is not recorded. And I'm not referring to the ILO statistics that too. That also will talk about that our labor force participation rate of women is hovering around 20% all the time. That's again, it's not as very interesting or optimistic figure. Similarly, this study was done by MasterCard Index of Women Entrepreneurs. Report reflected a dismal score of the Index of Women Entrepreneurs in India. India is ranked like 52 out of 57 surveyed countries. But this study was done during the COVID period. And in the COVID period, what we have found out that the closer of businesses, because women-run businesses are the most hit, actually, because of certain reasons. I'll talk about that. And that's one question which come up as whether COVID has impact similar to male-based enterprises or female-based enterprises. So, study says that female-based enterprise was a hard hit with the COVID pandemic that we had. Let us look at the question number 3 that we have. What are the key motivations of this female entrepreneurs to start a business? So we have understood the scenario. Now let us understand some reasons. So why somebody starts a business, and of course everybody will have their version of story. So what we have done is we have collected some themes of or what are the basic reasons for someone to start. So again, this would be a debate on this, that there are limited factors being identified, but yes, you are always welcome to add something to that. So the first one is found out to be job scarcity, right? And it is again the participation of those women which are less, and that leads to what kind of enterprises which are necessity-driven enterprises, which are actually being done to survive. So in a classification of enterprises, we have these three types, which the World Economic Forum has given. One is called the necessity-driven enterprises. One is called the opportunity-driven enterprise. And the third one is called innovation-driven enterprise. So if you look at the top tier countries, which are very high in terms of their entrepreneurial index, so they are largely bringing out more innovation-driven enterprises, which are largely innovation-driven. But where we talk about countries like low income, which are India is one part of that, where we call job scarcity, not being given enough opportunity in the job market, leads to people to start their enterprises, which are largely to fulfill their basic need of survival. Right. So that's what. So in case of women as well, where you talk about job scarcity, look at the market scenarios. That can be one reason where they are forced to start enterprises. Now, there are certain reasons which we are basically to talk about, that these people are joining to make wealth, okay, to build a personal wealth out of that. We have another category which we called making a difference. So basically, where we are talking about enterprises with a social cause. Okay, what Mohammed Yunus has said on every entrepreneur is that you should start with a social need. So just identify that particular need, and you can create a business out of that. So there, he has said about it, and when he was trying to make collaboration with Danone France to build a plant in Bangladesh. So making a difference is also can be one reason or one motivation for a lot of women entrepreneurs, or it can be for every entrepreneur. In fact, we are talking about more on female entrepreneurs. So whether female entrepreneurs wants to create a business to make a difference, yeah, the answer could be yes. Then the last one is called sustaining the legacy. And there, when I talk about this group or the reason for this, I'm referring to those who have already a business. Okay, probably those who are next generation members of a family business, or their parents have a business. So there are certain businesses are also there where they want to sustain or take the legacy forward. So these are some of the reasons which I have identified for the female entrepreneurs to start any enterprise. And I just said that the list is not exhaustive. You can always add to that. Coming to the fourth question, somebody has raised hand. If you have a question, we can take this question later on. Let me just quickly wrap it up because I have another panel also to speak. The fourth one is, it is always being said that whether men and women in terms of their entrepreneurial abilities are the same, okay, or the activities which they perform, is it the same or different? Now, what studies talk about that a lot of things among the male and female entrepreneurs are the same as far as the personality characteristics or the traits are concerned. So what we have found out here, that both male and female entrepreneurs exhibit traits which we call are essential qualities for entrepreneurs. It's all the same, right? So if you talk about achievement motivation, autonomy, persistence, aggressiveness, independence, goal orientation, or being leadership or risk-taking propensity, it is found to be similar among both male and female. But somewhere there is also difference is when we compare it to male, female entrepreneurs are more adaptive, more socially aware, have wider experience in different business areas, they delegate more, and engage in longer term planning. So this is something which is found to be a difference when it compared to their male counterparts. The third one is very interesting, which is said that whereas men generally see entrepreneurship as a business decision, women view it as a life choice. Okay, that's why so women become more passionate and more identifying themselves with the ventures that they create. So it is more of a way of integrating family and career. More on that the feminine characteristics comes into play, which is more of caring and in nature. So Barbara Noble in a report for female entrepreneurs, what summarizes very old report which I brought in, said that for men being an entrepreneur is a business strategy, but for women it's a life strategy. So that's been very interesting of Barbara Noble, which is said about that. Now where they are different, okay, so we said about certain things which are similar. So there are these specific points which being found out, which are where the women are different than the men, and these are also some of the challenges which the woman faces all the time. It has been a challenge for them ever since. So first one is lack of right to property. Now this is a lot of people will agree with me that for a long time females are denied with access to or the right to property from their parents, right? Because we generally believe that the daughter will be married and going to other house, so there will be no requirement of giving a right to the property. But that has been changing slowly, but that is still is an issue. It is not an issue in India and alone. It was an issue also in US, where they have brought a different legislation to change it. Otherwise, if you want to go for a loan in the bank also, they will say that you have to accompany your husband with it. Then the second one is called limited access to economic resources. Now, being a female, it is always a challenge for someone to have access to those economic resources, being it finances, arranging that. So banks will not be very willing to give loans to a woman. And that when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking it from a very specific point of view. I'm taking it a very generalistic view, right? And that's where things are changing, because when you identify issues, when you try to look at where you are differentiating yourself from others, you try to bring out new policies which are bring a change. Then third is lack of access to informal networks. Now, females are in terms of taking advantage of that informal network, they are very poor, because they don't have that informal network access. That in case of a male, they are more active in some fact, where female are not given that kind of access. So if I ask you that, do you remember any kind of a female association which is promoting? Maybe you will find hard to recall a name where it is an association for only females. It's an association for only females to look after, to take care of their activity. But things are changing. As I said, I always keep on and tell that things are changing. Then the fourth one is called lower social positioning in comparison to male. So you always understand that it all starts from the house, right? Wherever the female belongs to. So and I need not to tell you these examples of hundreds such examples is being that how the daughter is being treated, in poor with comparison to the boy, okay, in all sort of activities. School जाना है, छोड़ दो, बच्ची को क्या इतना पढ़ाना है, right? So this social positioning itself, औरत है तो घर में रहना है, right? All this kind of so we have created that particular taboo surrounding the woman, and that lower social positioning also comes where we say that a male entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur are very, very different, right? And the fifth one is the regulatory and policy provisions. So that equally applies to both male and female, but at certain cases where it comes to taxes or it comes to social securities, right? So women are still being treated or being neglected in this tax system. So these are some examples of how the difference we have in terms of when we talk about undertaking an activity or undertaking a business activities, how they are remaining behind, or what are the disadvantages for them to look at. Now this one is being very general again. I think Madam Aparna will talk more about it because she has started a business. She will be connecting more on this, probably talk more on that part. And gender biases or gender stereotyping is something which the female always faces, okay, forever. So that's what I call the unconscious gender bias. So even if people who are educated, people who are qualified, also sometime fall trap to this unconscious gender bias, right? And this is one of the challenges which the woman is always facing. Then the confidence in business skills, so they have a lack of confidence in terms of the business skills, because when you don't give them a lot of access, right, that generally brings in a low confidence. So I say that confidence in business skills means actually their confidence is lower side or lower in terms of doing businesses. Access to finance, we have already talked about that. Like you said, that banks or the financial institutions always find it difficult to be trusting to a woman, okay, and it has been a case. Network and relationship, as I said, that they are poor in terms of creating networks, and that's one thing which is a challenge for them. Family support, and probably we can say that this thing slowly changing is a scenario in India, but family always being not very supportive of women doing a business or women in fact doing a job as well. So And this one is called work-life balance, and this is very interesting in terms of whether work-life balance is something which pushes someone to start a business or they actually create a barrier to start a business. It is always debatable, right? Sometimes it is being said that women who starts a business actually is better in terms of their work-life balance because they can, have a flexible time in terms of managing kids, okay, house, and then the business, right? At the same time, when you say the work-life balance, when they are starting something that can jeopardize the relationship, that can jeopardize the work-life balance. So it is always being very, debatable in terms of that. Then the next one is very important, which all of you will probably agree that safety in work and public spaces is another reason, which is also a challenge for a lot of women, right, who are thinking about undertaking a venture or doing something. And of course, the pandemic, as I said at the last minute, but pandemic has been very, very brutal in terms of how it had affected the female entrepreneurs. Whether sometimes it has also created an opportunity for some to go to business because they didn't have any other choices or the options. So they had actually gone and started businesses. And sometimes those who have already created businesses, they have suffered a lot. So these are some of the challenges. Apart from that, there are many other things which we can talk about that in the process of doing businesses, like production challenges, there could be environmental challenges, a lot of such things also may come up. But basically, in general, we talk about these are some of the challenges which the woman faces. Now, when we're talking about the challenges, so what are the opportunities which are also being there for the women entrepreneurs today? And that's what which is very, very, again, good news for everyone. How we have been taking cognizance of the fact that we need more women entrepreneurs, and their contribution to the economy is enormous. It's not only the economic contribution that they make; it is also a kind of social contribution that they make. It's kind of innovation that they bring in. So these are all. If you take the cumulative impact of that, it is very, very significant. So I have just collected few of these opportunities which are available, and again I said that this is not the only thing. There are a lot of other schemes and policies, but these are global things which are available, and it's available for all. So this one is the Widow Fellows, and the second one is the Cartier Fellowship. The third one, Goldman Sachs 1000 Women Growth Fellowship, which I am Bangalore is running a program where they are actually grooming these female entrepreneurs all over the India. Sequoia is given the Spark Fellowship. Sequoia is one of the venture capital funds, which they have started a Spark Fellowship. It's only for women. These are all schemes are only for women. There is an Amber Grants, it's a global grant. FedEx has started one. Visa India has this iFund Women Grant. And there is a Saha Fund, which is only meant for women entrepreneurs. Then there are a lot of other schemes which are the government schemes or the different departments which have started. I'll just go quickly on that. So one is called this Rashtriya Mahila Course. Okay, it's provide financial capacity building and marketing supports to enterprising women, right? So here we are not differentiating in terms of that rural and urban, but the most focus is given to people who are in the rural sector. Then this is another option called eHeart, so to connect, digitally connect the women entrepreneurs to markets. This is a training and empowerment of women program, which is called STEP. Then there is this Nari Shakti Puraskar, which is again to empowerment of women. This being started by the Ministry of Women and Child Welfare. Then a lot of working women's hostels have been coming up, which is providing SEF. And so whatever challenges we have, talked of, there is some kind of a remedy which is being proposed or given. Then we have other schemes which is given by the Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI. There are two schemes which they are running called Mahila Udyam Nidhi. Okay, it is exclusive scheme for providing equity to women entrepreneurs, and the Mahila Vikas Nidhi. This is another scheme by the SIDBI. Then there are different banks and government institutions which have started certain schemes. So one is called the Bharatiya Mahila Bank, which is in collaboration with State Bank of India. Sri Shakti is another example. Annapurna is again SBI initiative. Dena Bank has started Dena Sakti. Oriental Bank of Commerce has this Mahila Vikas this thing. Mudra is a very famous scheme by Government of India, where they have given 3 different types of loans. Okay, Sishu, Kishore, and Tarun. And the Udyogini scheme, it's being, I think Punjab National Bank has been doing that. The Central Bank of India has this scheme called Kalyani. Mahila Udyam Nidhi scheme. Then there's a trade-related entrepreneurship assistance and development scheme called TREAD. Then there are other programs which are also being taken up, like the Micro and Small Enterprise Cluster Development Program started by MSME. The Credit Guarantee Scheme again is by DC MSME. Support for entrepreneurial and managerial development. Exhibition for women for micro and small enterprise, where there is a financial provision that this women can take part in exhibitions all over the globe. So they will give financial assistance for that. Prime Minister Employment Guarantee Program, it's a very old program, PMEGP, being proposed and coordinated by the KVIC, Khadi and Village Industries Corporation. Support to training and employment program for women. Swam Siddha is another, it's a Ministry of Women and Child Development that initiative. National Policy on Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. This is, they have taken up a lot of programs in that. Stand Up India, which is basically for mostly the Dalit and tribal women. There is financial provisions being given. Then there are associations. I was just talking about that informal network, how women are missing out of that. So one is being created called Consortium of Women Entrepreneurs of India, CWEI. There is a Federation of Indian Women Entrepreneurs. FLOW is a lady wing of the FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Then Women Entrepreneurship Platform by Niti Aayog. It is another platform which is to connect digitally with people. So these are some of the schemes, and if I being very specific to Jharkhand and other states, there are a lot of state-related policies. States have been formulated very unique policies by themselves, and they are also being implementing these policies which are proposed by different central government institutions. Like in Jharkhand, if you take the example, there is a scheme called cell phones, smartphones for women entrepreneurs. So the government has taken up this scheme called providing around 5 lakh smartphones to entrepreneurs so that they can, and basically to women entrepreneurs so that they can connect digitally. Okay, so this is about the schemes, because we have talked about challenges. So there are opportunities being given so that they can be brought to the mainstream and how the inclusiveness can be better. Now the last one, I have this final question here, and I think some of you probably know about this. Can you tell the oldest women market in India? And I have a quick small video for this. If you identify it correct, then I'll show you the video. Otherwise, anyway, I'll show you the video anyway.
Any answers for this question, audience?
Let me see the chat if anybody has.
Question is, can you tell which the oldest woman market in India? Yeah, where is the oldest market?
Women market. It is absolutely being managed, run by only women.
Only women, yeah.
In fact, it's not in India, it's Asia. Actually, I just missed that.
It's in Imphal, I guess, sir.
Yeah, you're right. Can you tell the name?
Ima Kithil, like that, maybe.
Very good, very good.
Market.
Yeah, it is Ima Kaital. And I have a small video of that, which I'll probably display it here. Just give me a second. I'll. It's a 1 minute video, so I think that's by the time.
Dr. Shubhendu sir, a request from us.
Yep.
Like,
Yes,
please also share all these links basically for the women
I'll share this
in the chat so that like our audience also can. That's
fine. Then I'll do that. I'll put that in the chat also. 1 minute. I have given this video link here in the chat box, and let me just play. If you can, I mean, there is no audio. In fact, it's only a. So, okay, so with this video, I think I'll just end this and tell one thing for that, because you see the last line which said that starting from this mother market to becoming epicenter for equality. So if you're talking about the progress of India as a nation, right, we cannot leave one group behind. So we have to bring them to at that path. And if you look at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, also the goal number 5 and 8, what they're talking about. So we have to work really hard in terms of making sure how that gender equality may happen. And gender equality not in only this sphere of entrepreneurship, it can be in anything. So this is one step which all of us can take, right, to ensure that how these opportunities can be provided. So there is no dearth of talent in India. There is no dearth of the interest among individuals, especially with women in India. But the right kind of opportunity should be provided, and everybody should be working towards it. So thank you everyone again for the organizers for giving me this time, and everybody for this patience hearing. If you have any questions, please. There were some raised hands being raised. So if you have any question or a clarification, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shubhendu Kumar Mishra, sir. Now is the time for question and answers. So I think Neha Priya has raised her hand earlier. So over to Neha. Neha, can you please unmute and ask your question? Yes, I am not able to unmute. Okay. Okay, you can write your question in the chat box, Neha. Till the time, yes, I think question came. Yeah. What is the support of government for entrepreneurs of women? This is the question of Neha Priya.
Okay, Neha, I think I have given you those in the slide. If you look at, there are a lot of schemes which being run. In fact, the best thing that where you can start with, let's say you are a student. I hope you are a student, right?
Yeah, sir. She's the student only.
Okay, fine. So just check the Nidhi Prayas scheme, right? What it offers for a student entrepreneur. So if you are a student, you have an idea, you are thinking about starting a business of your own. The first thing that you can look at is the hackathons, which are largely being conducted by AICTE, and that also has certain opportunities for seed funding. Then the second thing is called Nidhi Prayas. Nidhi Prayas is also such a scheme for students, especially. And apart from that, if you have already started something, as I said, that you can approach to any bank, understand what are the schemes being provided by them, especially with the financial assistance. And you can also register yourself in Startup India, right? If you have, let's say Jharkhand has a state startup policy, they must be having enrolling the startups from that particular state. So you can register yourself in Startup Jharkhand, maybe that portal if they have. There is financial provisions for that too. So you can get some stipends. I don't know about Jharkhand exactly. If I look at the policy, I have to look at it. But I look at the policies of Gujarat and few other states, in fact, Odisha also. There is a provision of stipends for students. And in fact, AICTE also has come up with a policy where student can miss classes. I should not tell that to the faculties will become angry on me. But you can skip classes if you are working on a valuable idea that can be compensated for your attendance. But you have to actually work on that particular kind of an idea. So there is a lot of such opportunity. Actually, we are being fortunate to be in this particular time, and especially you people are, that you are in that particular stage where the opportunities are enormous, right? You have to only spot them, you have to work on them, and skies are the limit.
Yes, thank you, Shubhendu sir. I think Neha Priya, please note what sir has said. Now there is a question coming up, sir, that how like you advise from your side regarding new opportunities for women residing in rural areas, basically opportunities of women for in the rural areas. This is the question, advice from your side.
So what can be done? Okay, see, Ministry of Rural Development actually has started a program called the Startup Village program. Actually, when I was in EDA, so EDA was one of the nodal agencies for that, is to do it. The Startup Village was such a program initiated by Ministry of Rural Development to encourage entrepreneurs in the rural sector. Now, specifically, if I want to talk about this, there are a lot of the provisions which are part of that particular program, but they have to identify. So, as a, let's say there's NGO which is assigned to a particular village to do a baseline study and find out what are the opportunities or resource opportunities are available. Let's say one village is very good in terms of, or the people are good in terms of rearing this poultry or different livestock. So can you create a business out of that? Can you bring women? Can you bring the people from the village to take part in it, or some kind of agricultural activity? So there are resources which are very specific to that particular area. If you identify them and create businesses out of that. There are a lot of NGOs who are also working towards that direction. If you see Pradhan and all, been very active in different places, encouraging that. As I know, enterprises born out of NGOs, and largely these are enterprises which are born in the rural setups only. So if you talk about something called silk farms, honeybees, or you can talk about goatery, poultry. These are some of the activities which can be done in a rural setup. Okay, and apart from that, there could be a lot of other things also which you can do, especially with there are a lot of call centers that are coming up in different villages. So that can be an innovative opportunity which you can pick it up. Right? But mostly, if you look at there are schemes available and people are working towards that vision. Manage one organization, which is Government of India's organization, runs a program called RKVY Raftar program, where they give a lot of such scopes for establishing agri-based enterprises. So if you want to set up a dairy farm or something, you can always look at those schemes of RKVY and Raftar schemes, and how such schemes can be helpful for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Let me tell once again, all of you, that this session is sponsored by Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, Government of India, AICTE, and Institution Innovation Council, ICFA University, Jharkhand. With this, actually, there are a lot of questions are coming up, as also this is leaked to YouTube. And with this, we will come to the next question, sir. We can see in the chat box, what is the future of entrepreneurship and what is its scope? This question is from Satyendra Pandey. Over to you, sir.
The first question is very, very trivial. It's called a future of entrepreneurship. Nobody knows what is the future of it, because entrepreneurship something, you see, it's the future of entrepreneurship. What we are doing for the future of entrepreneurship is very, very satisfying. But it is always that person at the helm who has to do this, right? And it's not only that person, it is also the ecosystem. So from the ecosystem's perspective, the government or the support that is being required, the government is taking adequate steps. But whereas it comes to the individual, and we are not alone, we have to also look at other extraneous factors, like what is happening to the impact of the war that is happening between Russia and Ukraine. What is happening about the economic recession if something is happening in our neighboring country, right? Whether that has an impact on individual entrepreneur? Yes. So when I see this future of entrepreneurship, yes, what I can say from my perspective, for me, it is very optimistic. But as I also said that every, among the top 10 different ventures being taken up, there are 2 or 3 which see the success and few others fail. So you have to be taking a very cautious step in terms of doing it, right? And being an advisor, we always to talk about when you see the pitches which comes to us from students, from other entrepreneurs. So are you really trying to solve a problem? Are you really trying to create a value for someone? That makes the difference, right? So the best ones you pick, any organization you think today is a best example of an entrepreneurial venture, talk about that, and you will find that what problem actually they are solving. But having said that, extraneous variables, the factors are very, very brutal. We just recently heard about this news, that the Twitter's case being taken over, being left out. So things are becoming very dramatic in the entrepreneurial world.
Exactly, sir. Thank you so much. Now, anybody want to ask questions? You can ask. I think Rajiv has raised his hand. Rajiv?
I have a.
Amar, yes. Amar, please. You can switch on the camera also.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. I have put a question, sir. What is your understanding about women entrepreneurs from rural and suburban areas, or is it only limited to urban areas? I mean, how you are seeing it? I'm not audible, sir.
Yeah, you're audible, sir. You're audible.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I got your question also. To try to say that I talked about women from the urban sector, not from the rural sector. If you remember, I told you about scarcity. I told you about the job scarcity, and I told you about necessity-driven enterprises. So in the rural sector, see, you cannot skip. It is de facto. You can't skip entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs in the rural sector. Any entrepreneur in the rural sector. Only thing is, what happens is, when we are referring to the entrepreneurs at that particular sector, we are talking about an enterprise which is basically small, which is medium in nature, which are largely into some kind of a manufacturing, where the innovation angle is limited, right? So if you today look at the definition given by the Startup India for startups, in fact. So in that definition, probably these people will be excluded. But can we exclude them from the whole discussion of enterprise creation? Definitely not, because without them, is when your 1/3 people are living in those areas, you can't skip them. They are very, very significant in terms of.
Can I add one thing, sir?
Yes, sir, please.
The point that you are saying about that innovation is probably lesser in rural India.
No, I'm not
in
saying
my-
that.
In my
I'm not
opinion,
saying-
I
I'm
think
just
it is
saying they
otherwise
skip that
probably.
Sorry.
In my opinion, it is otherwise probably because more jugaad are coming from the rural folks.
Yeah, I'll
giving
tell
so
you.
much-
I'll tell you one example, sir. There is an organization called National Innovation Foundation in Ahmedabad. So started by Anil Gupta. He was a professor of IIM Ahmedabad. After his retirement, he has started this foundation. So they go for this called the Sodh Yatra. In Sodh Yatra, what they do, they visit different parts of India, especially to the villages, and they record the innovations which are, you said about Jugaad, right? So Jugaad innovations, they try to look at, they document it, they file patents for it. So if you go to the website of NIF, National Innovation Foundation, you will find out how there are different innovations being recorded by NIF which are coming from rural areas. Okay. Now, question again, we can always go into the debate of that is how do you define innovation? Okay, and whether we are talking about something which has completely created a disruption in the market. These are innovations which are bringing more convenience for people, right? If somebody has created a mechanism of climbing trees faster, right? Now, I'm not calling it a disruption in terms of innovation. I'm calling it something which he has done for convenience. But that doesn't, I've not said that, I will probably never say that innovation will not come from those areas. They are very much.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Yes. Thank you, Amarji. Thank you for asking questions. Now, all the audience, can you please hold, because we are waiting to listen our next entrepreneur, woman entrepreneur, and she is Dr. Aparna Singh, founder and managing director, Mansopi Biz Private Limited. Now, she had got a long profile. Dr. Aparna, Assistant Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Banaras Hindu University, and founder, managing director of Mansopi Biz Private Limited company. She is a leading business entrepreneur and practicing academician. She is well-known business strategy consultant, executive life coach, and management author from Varanasi. In her 13 years of rigorous practice in education, training, research, and consulting industry, she has successfully launched spread-headed training and consultancy company, 2 NGOs, 1 school, 4 private companies, and 2 tech-based startups under her supervision. She is PhD in strategic management from Institute of Management Studies, IIM Banaras Hindu University, and MBA in marketing from ICFI Business School. She did her executive training in strategy from Harvard Business School, US, and psychology from ICE University, Cambridge, UK. She did her study in entrepreneurship under NSRCEL from IIM Bangalore, as sponsored by National Commission for Women, NCW, amongst top 127 women entrepreneurs in India. After her corporate stint in NIIT Limited in Kolkata, she pursued her doctoral research in BHU, qualifying NET and NET and GRF both. She has authored 3 books of management, philosophy, business strategy, and career consulting, and her edited book, one on classical Indian wisdom. She has presented several research papers on international conferences in India, Malaysia, Kuwait, Nepal, etc. As an industry practitioner, she helps in leadership and behavioral coaching, career counseling, entrepreneurship, startups, business projects, management consultancy, and corporate trainings. As an educationalist, she runs a CBSE-based senior secondary school in Azamgarh, career counseling firm, and NGOs at Varanasi. Further, she wishes to keep mentoring young generations to help them realize their full potential, fulfill their life dreams, and greater sense of satisfaction and well-being. So this is the long profile of Dr. Aparna Singh, our today's guest of honor. Madam, welcome. Over to you. Next session is yours. Over to you, ma'am. Please proceed.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You are very much audible. Please
Okay,
proceed.
thank you so much. And I'm just extending my immense gratitude to one and all over here, especially to the Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor O.R.S. Raoji, to the Registrar, sir, who is the guest of honor, my co-panelist, Shri S.K. Mishra ji, and so many of esteemed faculty members from various departments of ICFI Business School. I'm so proud. I'm an alumni of ICFI. And ICFI University, Jharkhand, all students, all skilled entrepreneurs who are here. And they were actually, I was enjoying this session a lot. It was so informative and insightful. Thanks to Professor Dr. Subhendu Kumar Mishra ji. So many things, even I came to know for the first time, being a women entrepreneur and as an academician. I'm assistant professor in Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Banaras in the university. I teach there, and I train otherwise many people into various projects and consultancies. But I like to take a chance here. He has given a very good theoretical perspective to what is the impact lecture session today, which has been, and especially I must not forget thanking the MOEs, Innovation Council and AICTE, Government of India, for organizing such beautiful sessions, which are going to be so helpful and informative to all the students and entrepreneurs around. Now, without further wasting any moment, I would like to come down to the practical and the pragmatic aspects of what is meant by women entrepreneurship. Though it is very much unfair to say women entrepreneurship, it's just let it be entrepreneurship. But since it is designated as of now as V is women entrepreneurship, so I'll be also discussing in the same manner, though I don't like to be called women entrepreneur. I just like to be called entrepreneur. But yes, can I share? If I'm allowed, I've also got a presentation where I will be sharing my own story, my own entrepreneurial journey, and I will let you just to judge what are the challenges. Because when we talk of this topic, just hold on. Now, is it visible?
Yes, very much visible. Please.
Okay. Yeah. Since the topic itself talks of challenges, challenges in current era, let me give it a full screen. But I must not agree to it, because it gives a negative connotation of there's always challenges around women entrepreneurs. I must say there is much of a fun. And we, the women, actually, when somebody says that entrepreneurship is basically for survival, true, definitely. But then somebody says that it's about trading, buying and selling, again, true. But then it is also an answer for success. If you want to realize something great in life, you want to lead a life much meaningfully, then I think, and you want to do it for others, there has gotten a philosophy that not you are only living for yourself, you are living for community, your people. If that is the feeling inside you, I must say you have that material, that spark to become a women entrepreneur. So this is some quotation. This has already been put forward by my co-panelist, and Anita Roddick is a very famous entrepreneur, the founder of the Body Shops. He says, though entrepreneurship is for survival, but actually it nurtures your creative side. It teaches you business, which is not only about the trading or financial science. It is basically a scientific answer for success. You simply have to live this life, do the things and experience it. But if we talk in theoretical terms, how do we define women entrepreneurs? This again has been told by sir, so I'll not be getting into it. But yes, as per the Government of India definition of women entrepreneurs, if the managing interest and controlling interest stakes of any business organization lies in the hands of women, like minimum 51%, and also the employment generated, the opportunities are given mostly to women, then it can be termed as a women-led enterprise or women entrepreneur-led enterprise. So this is the entrepreneurship definition, definitely, but then we go for a reality check and we find that there are hardly, like in India, we talk of, less than 7 people, women are entrepreneurs amongst top 100 male entrepreneurs. It's a ratio of 93:7. Means for every 100 male entrepreneurs, there are only 7 female entrepreneurs in India. So basically, there's a lack of social, educational, and institutional support. That is why women are not coming up. This is one thing which is being said. Though I'll share my story and I will let you discuss amongst yourselves and decide amongst yourselves that what can be the real problems. Because I also belong to very conventional background. I am born and brought up in Varanasi, and my native place is Azamgarh. And since I have a community of listeners, yes, from Jharkhand, so Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, UP, they share this same kind of socio-cultural background. So I feel that you will be able to relate. Now, most of the time, it is also a perception about women that they cannot get into hard gender roles, hard selling marketing profiles, or something like hard industries. They are just to be meant for soft industries like beauty, fashion, aesthetics, something of a sort, where education or medical profession, where there's no concept of hard selling. There's a soft selling. And also then what brings women down, there's lack of mentorship, there are lack of role models. Actually, as sir also displayed in his exercise, they were not able to recognize many of the women entrepreneurs just because of the fact that not many women entrepreneurs are promoted to the fore. So we really don't know who can be our role models, who can we follow, from where we all women entrepreneurs can get mentorship, and what can be our professional network, especially the gender network. When we talk about who can be the females to which we can network and bring in some professional advice and support. So this becomes a challenge. Next challenge, which is there is work-life balance. So definitely there is a family thing, and then there is a business thing, and then we have to cope up with it, because on both the fronts, personal fronts and professional fronts, we are expected to do justice. As a woman, we are also very soft-hearted person. So as a soft-hearted person, we are bound to look after all things which are coming up in the way of entrepreneurship. So there's a big issue of work-life balance also. And then we have, as females, since we have mobility issues, safety and security concerns, not everywhere we can go, not everyone we can meet, not all time we can interact. There has to be some norms which are expected out of us. That is the social and cultural norm that has to be followed. That is why we got limited industry exposure, and that actually leads to a very limited industry knowledge. And then, as you all know, knowledge brings confidence. Since women entrepreneurs have limited exposure, limited knowledge, that's why they actually hesitate foraying into unyielding or undecided terrains. Something where they have not been earlier, they will not like to get it. As per statistics are concerned, recent statistics says that 90% of the females were driven out of work during the pandemic times, as per the Women at Work 2022 Global Outlook report. And even though women who continued into the jobs, they felt out of place, out of work, and emotionally drained during the new normal of hybrid work culture that developed during COVID times. Like they had to get into sometimes on technological fronts, and then they have to go to the office setups also, then they have to work from home, and then they have to tackle with the family things, and then office deadlines, and this and that every time. So 60% of women were not comfortable in the new normal, and 93% of women who many a times they felt harassed at their workplace, but then they never got into reporting their problems or lodging complaints just out of fear of losing jobs. This is also one big problem. It's a patriarchal society, we say, and the male dominance is there.
Excuse me, Dr. Aparna. Your slide is actually not moving, and it is the first slide which we can see.
I see.
I think.
Is it moving now? Is it? Just hold on. Let me share again.
You can. What I suggest, like you can stop and once again you can share.
Yes, just hold on, please.
We were actually listening to you.
No. Is it now visible?
Yeah, full screen is visible now.
Is it moving now? No.
Yes, it is moving. Now it is moving. It is
okay.
moving.
Now, so this was that was the first slide which I was talking about, and then this is the slide where I was talking about the V part. That is the V stands for women entrepreneurs, and then the things which are actually women entrepreneurs, which is actually impeding the success of women entrepreneurs. Those were the reality checks I was talking about. And then here I was talking about the statistics. So working women, basically now in these COVID times, it has been noted that from 19% in 2022, it has now come down to mere 10% in 2022. It's expected to fall down to 10%. Means earlier in 2010, it was 26%. Now the number of working women has drastically fell down. What does it mean? Just think of it. This is why it is happening. Furthermore, you should all know and must be knowing, I believe, that India ranks 135th amongst 146 countries in the global gender gap index. Means with this rate, we will actually need 132 years to reach to the state of gender equality. In 2021, last year, it was 140th rank. So though we have improved a little, like 5 ranks, but still we are far behind in South Asia, like except for Pakistan and Afghanistan, all other countries, including Maldives, Sri Lanka, our neighbors like Bangladesh, Nepal, all of them are doing good in gender gap index, but only we are falling apart. Why it is so? It was also noticed that in the CMI report that the total percentage of women at workplace has now fell down to 40% in June 2022. Earlier, it was 46%. So between 2017 to 2022, 2.1 crore women have permanently left their jobs. Just think of what could be the reasons why they are leaving jobs. Are they all of them are going to start a new venture, do some startup or do some business? I don't think so. It is basically a non-conducive environment because of which women are actually not into it. Though women are actively searching for jobs, but they need some flexibility at workplace. There should be higher motivation. There should be given an infrastructural facility in terms of child care, creche facilities. There should be moral support, favorable working environment, and of course, maternity and their female issues. They should be given leaves for that, just in order to perform at par or better with their male counterparts. This is some reports which I am sharing with you. Bloomberg Economics report says this. Precisely coming down to the state of women entrepreneurship in India, as I told earlier also, only 7 females are there out of 100 male entrepreneurs. And only 20% of businesses in India can be specifically termed as women-led enterprises, as per Google Bain report. And only there are 6% of women-led startups where women is a real co-founder of the business. And then also one biasness is there, that if a woman is a founder or co-founder of a startup, they hardly get the funding from the angel investors and venture capitalists. Means very meager amount, 5% of funding, investors funding, and 1.43% of investors funding was accessible and available to women-led startups between 2018 and 2020. Somehow maybe people don't believe that women are good at entrepreneurship and running businesses well. And then there is less than 2% of equity participation in industries like computer and IT. Though there are so many women software engineers, but then women entrepreneurs are seriously lacking in these fields, especially in the automobile sector, metals and alloys, heavy machineries and electronic appliances. I just wonder why women are more into paper and tobacco. When I was going through this study, I found that more than 50% of equity participation of women was found in the industry of paper and tobacco. Maybe these are where such industries which are very suburb and rural outlook one. That's why. And gender gap. World Economic Forum states that there is a 72% gender gap in labor markets in India, means male are working more than female. Though female represent half of the world, they are 50%. Now, keeping statistics apart, I'm coming down to what makes an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur, be it be a male entrepreneur or female entrepreneur. You yourself check it out, just find it out, and you can answer me in the chat itself. Do you have these signs in you? If you have more than signs in you, I believe you can also be an entrepreneur. And I seriously believe many of you want to become an entrepreneur. That's why you are attending this impact lecture session. But do we all have that mindset in us? You see, you have to be philosopher. Like your philosophy should be giving it back to the society or the community or your people. You should be a person who believes in a purposeful living, wants to know the real reason of his or her existence and give some meanings to it. In Japanese, there is a book called Ikigai where they talk of the concept of Ikigai. There should be some reason to your existence, and in the way of finding that reason, you become a person who wants to do something new, good, or worthwhile. You have to be a visionary person who has got a futuristic outlook. More so, you have to be a person who aspires to become self-dependent. Means you have got that independent thinking in you and you want to rely on yourself rather than relying on others. And just about thinking, it is nothing to do with thinking alone. It has more to do with your go-gettership. Like you should be an action-oriented, self-propelled, initiator, proactive person. You should be a doer. If you are always on your tip of toes, then I can believe that, yes, you can be a person who can turn out to be a good entrepreneur. You should be having good strategic planning capabilities. You should be having good decision-making skills. How does it come? That rationality has to become in you, that practicality, pragmatism has to be in you, that creativity, that innovation has to be in you. You should be able to think in terms of design. Like you should be able to gauge what are the pain points of the people and then think of some innovative and very practical solutions which are not very complex ones, simple solutions that are able to actually solve the problem. You should be having those kind of skill sets. life skills, soft skills, IT skills, interpersonal skills. Like you should be a good communicator, you should be able to collaborate and gel with people well. You should be a person who has got some goals. Your individual aspirations should align with your career aspirations, and those goals should be specific, measurable, actionable, reliable, and time oriented. We call them smart goals. So you should be a person who has got some smart goals, and you should be a person who is always keen on learning new things, doing new things. But again, last thing, which is not the least thing, you should be a personal whose personal choice should be of either creating wealth for yourself or your community or your people, or creating a social recognition or a network of people of like-minded origins and like-minded themes. So if you're a person who is into all this, just let me know how many of you have got these signs in you, which can be termed as your entrepreneurial mindset. And nevertheless, it is not only a lone thing to decide from the mindset part. There has to be an ecosystem also. Environmentally, this was something on the personal side, individual side, but also on the social side and environmental side. There has to be a good entrepreneurial ecosystem, which actually boost up the morale of the entrepreneurs. What an entrepreneur essentially needs: a socio-cultural support, good education, so that they can develop into good human capital. And also that entrepreneur alone cannot rely on his or her education. They need qualified and typically highly skilled human capital around them, human resources around them to keep working, keep moving. So they essentially need these things apart from their family support, friends and mentors, gurus and guides, professional networks, who can actually lead them into the entrepreneurship. Then there has to be a favorable government and regulatory framework. There should be good policies. There should be good schemes, especially in terms of accessible markets, fundings, and finance. That all things should be favorable. Then only an entrepreneur can become an entrepreneur successfully. Unless this doesn't happen on the environmental side, no matter how good entrepreneur you are from inside, you will always face challenges and problems. And then many a times you feel helpless, because you cannot alone make difference unless things happen on a bigger platform. But yes, I'm a small town girl, and I did my things, I must say, with the help of my family. Definitely, I got a very good ecosystem around me. That's why I was able to pursue some of the things which I did. And so I would like to just go into storytelling format and like to share what I actually felt around me, so that you make a sense out of entire thing. It all started in 2009 when I was doing my dual SIP. Basically, when I was doing MBA in ICFI Business School, I was selected for summer internship program for 3.5 months in 2 companies simultaneously: Dr. Reddy's lab at Lucknow and Hindalco at the Renukut Sonabhadra. You all must be knowing these places and these companies as well. So while I was back at home, I was studying in Kolkata. I was campus lighted to Kolkata from Hyderabad. Because I was a very homesick girl and I could not, it was first time I was away from my home. It was only on account of my wish that my father sent me for higher studies to a place where I have never been before. Like as I told you all, that I was born and brought up in Varanasi. So I have that cultural background of Varanasi, and I always loved that soil and then the science which I have here in the Eastern UP. But then I went for my higher studies there and I could not gel up well. And I came down back for my dual SIP here. And then I told my father that since I was working and in FI, I got enriched. I learned from so many good professors, and they all instilled that entrepreneurship in me. They always told me to do something of my own, because they said that this will help you living an independent life. and the kind of aspirations you have and the kind of talents you have, you can always go for it. So I told my father that our parental property was lying idle at our native place in Azamgarh. We all in our family were staying in Varanasi. So I just told them that yes, we can convert this into a school. That time in Azamgarh, there were no good English medium schools, especially in our locality. Even my cousin had to come down to us to Varanasi. He was just a kid of 8 years. He had to come down, leave his parents and come down to us, stay with us at Varanasi for his education. Simple primary education even was not there. So I told my father that we must be giving good quality English speaking education, like because it's a culture, it's a norm these days. Unless you are not taught into English, you may not be able to cope up with the changing trends. Can I be bilingual? Because emotions
Please.
well when we are bilingual. I hope everyone can understand Hindi.
Definitely. It's a Hindi belt. Please carry on.
That is why I said, तो हमने जो ये start किया तो उसकी philosophy यही थी कि I should be able to give it back to my community. तो मैंने अपने father को बोला, अपने uncles को बोला कि you should all just conjoin your savings. आप लोग थोड़ी अपनी savings लगाई. By that time उन लोगों को motivate किया. मेरा तब तक campus placement भी हो गया. I got selected in NIIT. So I started also earning and saving. और फिर हम लोगों ने मिलके we started this school. पहले साल, दूसरे साल we counseled around 300 families and we converted almost every family, and some students were there, like 300 students were there up to class 5th. जब हम लोग ने ये school, I must mention here that I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Before that, in my family, nobody was an entrepreneur. My dadaji was into army, and my father was selected as senior revenue officer. He was in customs and central excise, so he was a GST commissioner. And then my uncles, they also were. One was a PCS officer, one was a teacher in PGT computer science in Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya. My all mother and chachis were homemakers. I was the first person, being my father's eldest child. My father was the elder one, and I being the eldest child. And since I was born after 10 years of their marriage, my parents' marriage, so I was a highly pampered child in the family. So I never ever felt that I am a girl. I was always treated at par with anyone could have imagined to be treated as a boy. So in my family, my reputation and my things were like whatever I said used to happen. So when I insisted, my parents and my uncles, they all agreed to what I said and they liked. Then I started doing market research, project planning, and I told them, I convinced them that we are going to get that first mover advantage. I owe all this confidence to my knowledge of which I garnered during my MBA days. And then we started doing bootstrapping, internal financing. This is, you see, the personal finances are the first and the easiest sources of funds and arranging funds and finance. So one must, as an entrepreneur, rely more on their personal savings and their family and friends to cooperate them. This is called bootstrapping and internal financing. So we also did that. Then I went into field with my sister, and we both of us, we actually got into every home and we counseled parents and guardians to send their kids to our school. First people were hesitant, then we actually handle their objections. So you see, you have to be a go-getter. You have to go into the field. You just cannot stay in an office room in an AC chamber and then plan and then think that things will happen. No. Actually, it is always, though strategy planning takes 90% of the time, but strategy is only 1%. Every other thing, 99% is the implementation part. So you have to be good at implementation to succeed with your plans. That happened with us also. So, and besides, as I told, I got campus placed. So from there, I started earning and I started redeploying my savings and earnings, apart from actually motivating my family members into doing same thing. And since all of us were very well off, we never thought of earning as any penny as of now. even as of now, we are not earning whatever we are earning as profits, we are redeploying it back. So now this school has become a very big school. Till before COVID times, it has got a student strength of more than 1,800 students, 65 plus teaching staffs and 35 plus non-teaching staff, means like good amount, 2,000 people working now. And during COVID time, then we had to make certain changes. What happened later? Somehow in my family, we all, because we none of us were businessmen, we all were servicemen. So we all decided to diversify ourselves. Like it is popularly said, only education and medical sectors are the sectors where there is no sunset. One thing. And second thing, these are the best, or you may say most noble professions. So one dream we were realizing through our school and college, ITI college and all. And second dream, we wanted to get into medical line, pharma line. So we started a company, pharmaceutical company. So our production started at Panchkula, Haryana. We actually owned a factory over there because it is easier to get land, machinery and other things. So and people also, there is actually complete industrial setup. So you can start from there, from Haridwar, Rishikesh, Panchkula, and these places. So we started from Panchkula. From there, we've manufactured our own APIs, our own medicines, our tablets, and our generic medicines also. And then we marketed it as our own company that is known as Bridge Formulation Private Limited. Meanwhile, there an idea crop up amongst us that we should do some production at our local place, like in Varanasi also. So Ramnagar industrial area was there, where we established our industrial gases plant, medical oxygen plant. And this is something I must say, sometimes it is not only the entrepreneur, it is also somewhere the God's design that we all started it 2-3 years earlier than this COVID happened. And when we were doing all this, we never thought that our school business will completely shut down to the level that we will be actually relying heavily on our pharmaceutical business to sustain ourselves. And that time in COVID, but we were very ethical people. We never tried making an opportunity out of this situation, the crisis that was ongoing. We always followed the government norms, and we always gave oxygen cylinders on the refilling cost only. Many people did make goods, but you see, if it is only about money, then it is a poor business. If it is also about creating social impact, then I can say, or anybody can say, that is a better business. So that happened. However, meanwhile, I joined BHU for my higher studies. I came here for doctoral research after getting selected for UGC NET. I cleared UGC NET and JR of both, and I got selected for PhD in BHU. And there I chose to do PhD in strategic management, because basically in my family, everybody says she is very good at planning things. So I said, if I'm good at planning things, let me also attain some qualifications, some professional qualifications regarding that field, where I can be able to come out with better plans, some plans which can be executable on ground level. So, and my knowledge base actually got enhanced during my UPSC and UPPSC preparation. I was started beside PhD. I was also, because my father and as I told, everyone in my family was into service. We had a bureaucratic environment at home. So somewhere down my heart, I was always like, I have to go into administration. Business, yes, I started. Unconsciously, I asked my parents and everyone to get into, but somehow we were only doing it on a community service basis. We were not earning profits as of now from there. Whatever profits that self-sustaining education business was making, we were basically redeploying them. Until date, we are doing the same. Now, though, we are earning handsome profits from our other businesses, as I said. So simultaneously, many things were happening. that's why I say I'm a multitasking person. So meanwhile, I got into an executive training program and got selected into executive training program at Harvard Business School. So I went there to learn strategy from our strategy guru. He's no more, late Professor Clayton Christensen. And then from there, I also pursued a short-term course on psychology from University of Cambridge. So, and then I felt that unless I become an authority over any of my subjects of which I have learned, because somewhere my mother-in-law sometime told me that was the time when I got married also. After my MBA and 2 years of my job at NIIT, I got married also. So mother-in-law, she was like कि अगर आपने अपनी एजुकेशन को अपने जीवन में नहीं उतारा तो आपके एजुकेशन का लाभ क्या है? आप इतनी बड़ी बड़ी डिग्रीज ले रहे हैं, आप इतनी पढ़ाई कर ले रहे हैं, अगर आप मैनेजमेंट की छात्रा हैं तो आपके जीवन भी तो उतना ही वेल मैनेज्ड होना चाहिए ना, दिखना चाहिए कि आप कितने अच्छे से मैनेज कर रही है चीजें. लाइक शी हरसेल्फ वाज अ इकोनॉमिक्स का पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट फ्रॉम गोरखपुर यूनिवर्सिटी एंड टॉपर फ्रॉम देयर. तो मैं बोलती थी कि माजिया बहुत कंजूस है, तो वो कहती थी हाँ बिकॉज मैंने इकोनॉमिक्स को अपने जीवन में उतार लिया है, बट तुम इतनी मिसमैनेज हो, तुमने तो मैनेजमेंट को अपने जीवन में उतारा नहीं, कोशिश ही नहीं करती तुम. तो मैंने कहा दिस थिंग एक्चुअली इट एक्चुअली टच माय हार्ट एंड फ्रॉम दैट डे आई स्टार्टेड लाइक नो आई हैव टू मैनेज माय थिंग्स वेल, वेदर आई एम डूइंग business, whether I am pursuing my PhD, I am preparing for civil services, or I am writing books or research papers, articles, I am attending conferences. I started giving 100% of my capacity. Whenever, whatever I am doing, I try to do justice with my role. And this thing actually made me more organized, good at strategy planning, good at handling multiple things at work. And I think this is the basic thing which actually this God gifted to women, that they can lead several roles at a time. They can do justice to several tasks at hand. They can be multiple actively role. They can handle so many things at a time. But from there, when I did not succeed in UPSC, at that time I used to feel that what was the reason. I started thinking of what could be the reason I could not, though I was very good. I have always been a very bright student. तो मेरे को ये लगता था कि मैं जो भी करूंगी मैं अच्छा ही करूंगी लाइफ में और मैं कर ले जाऊंगी. बट यूपीएससी में मेरा सिलेक्शन नहीं हुआ, तो मुझे ये लगा कि समवेयर मेरा असर्टिवनेस, आई वाज वेरी असर्टिव एंड आउटस्पोकन. जितनी अभी तो लाइफ में इतना सब कुछ देखते देखते थोड़ा सा हम्बल हो गए हैं, बट दैट टाइम आई वाज लाइक वेरी आउटस्पोकन. तो मुझे ये समझ में आया कि अगर आपको बिजनेस या किसी भी फील्ड में सक्सीड करना है तो you should be a little bit diplomatic and flexible in your approach. Especially मैं business के perspective से भी बता रही हूँ. Don't be assertive, don't be rigid with what you think, because क्या है many times आप जो plan करते हैं वैसा situation नहीं होता है, situation एकदम अलग हो जाता है. तो आपको अपने you have to keep that broad theme in mind कि ठीक है हमारा strategic alignment ये रहेगा, हमारे ब्रॉड प्लानिंग तो ये रहेगी, लेकिन विद इन दैट ब्रॉड प्लानिंग वी विल हैव दैट एम्पल अपॉर्चुनिटी टू मेक ऑल परम्यूटेशंस एंड कॉम्बिनेशन. मतलब टैक्टिकल प्लान्स और एक्शनेबल प्लान्स चेंज करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी होनी चाहिए. और प्लीज रिसर्च योर प्रीमाइज वेल. पहले तो आप अपने इन्वायरमेंट को स्कैन कीजिए. डोंट गो बाय एनी इंट्यूशन. होता है नॉर्मली बिजनेसेस में होता है कि हम अपनी गट फीलिंग पे सबसे ज्यादा रिलाई करते हैं, जो हमें अच्छा लगता है हम वही करते हैं, बिकॉज वी हैव गॉट दैट फ्रीडम. हम अगर हमारे पास पैसे आ जाएं तो फिर हम उसके साथ खिलवाड़ भी कर सकते हैं. मजे की बात ये है, बट ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए. अगर आप कोई वेंचर स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, कोई एंटरप्राइज कर रहे हैं, तो पहले तो अपने प्रीमाइसेस को चेक कर लीजिए कि आप जो भी काम करने जा रहे हैं वो सक्सेसफुल होगा कि नहीं. प्लान करिए प्रोएक्टिवली, स्ट्रैटेजी बनाइए, लेकिन सिर्फ उसी पे स्ट्रैटेजी पे रहना नहीं है, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे सबसे ज्यादा ध्यान देना है. क्योंकि मैंने बताया प्लानिंग सिर्फ 1% है, 99% डिटरमाइन होता है सक्सेस आपके इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पर. तो यही सारी चीज धीरे धीरे, ये मेरी लर्निंग थी फ्रॉम 2014 टू 2019, जब तक मेरी पीएचडी कंप्लीट नहीं होगी. मतलब मैं बिजनेस भी देख रही थी घर का, एजुकेशन, फार्मा, ऑक्सीजन, मतलब ऑक्सीजन फैक्ट्री एंड ऑल. उसके अलावा मैं अपनी पढ़ाई भी कर रही थी, पीएचडी कर रही थी, और मैं ट्रेनिंग्स ले रही थी, कॉन्फ्रेंसेस कर रही थी, पेपर्स लिख रही थी, बुक्स लिख रही थी, और साथ ही साथ मैं शादी भी हो गई थी, मैं बच्चे भी कर रही थी, बच्चे भी रियर कर रही थी. I have got 2 kids. One is 1.5 years old and another is 4 year old. काफी काम था, लेकिन ठीक है, we all need to prioritize. जब जो कर रहे हैं वो बेस्ट करें. नेक्स्ट मेजर जो दिक्कत शुरू हुई, या ये कहें कि is it again it is not happening. Okay, it has come. You all everyone is able to see the change slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can see.
अच्छा, प्रॉब्लम कहाँ हुई? प्रॉब्लम हुई जब कोविड आ गया तो बाय द टाइम मैं तो पीएचडी कर चुकी थी और मुझे असाइनमेंट्स भी मिले थे. मैं महात्मा गांधी काशी विद्यापीठ में एज एन असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर विजिटिंग फैकल्टी मैंने ज्वाइन कर लिया था, 1 साल वहां पढ़ाया भी. लेकिन कोविड आ गया तो फिर वी हैड टू सेटल डाउन और हमको ऑनलाइन टीचिंग मोड में जाना पड़ा. और उसी समय मेरे बिजनेसेस में भी स्लम्प आ गया. एजुकेशन में बताया हमने, स्कूल में स्लम्प आ गया, तो वहां पे भी ऑनलाइन टीचिंग में हमको माइग्रेट करना पड़ा. तो वहां एक मेजर डिसीजन लेना पड़ा. हमने अपने पूरे स्कूल को डिजिटली माइग्रेट किया, मतलब कई कंपनी से टाई अप किया, लीड स्कूल से, ऑक्सफोर्ड एडवांटेज से, एमडीबी ई लर्निंग से. उनकी टेक्नोलॉजी को हमने वहां अपने स्कूल में इनकॉर्पोरेट अराउंड 1 करोड़ हमने मतलब खर्च किए ताकि हम उसको अप टू द मार्क कर सकें, ताकि हम बच्चों को मतलब शिक्षा दे सके. और अच्छी बात ये रही कि कोई टीचर छोड़ के नहीं गया हमें, कोई बहुत मैक्सिमम बच्चे भी जुड़े रहे. हमने सर्विसेज, जबकि वो एक सबब एरिया है, लालगंज आजमगढ़ इज अ सबब एरिया, मैक्सिमम 1000 बच्चों से ज्यादा हमारे साथ जुड़े रहे. टीचर्स भी सारे लगभग जुड़े रहे. 2 हमने पेमेंट हमको भी कट ऑफ करनी पड़ी. हम कितना भी पंप करते थे, लेकिन चूंकि हमने बताया फार्मा बिजनेस में हम एबनॉर्मल प्रॉफिट्स नहीं कमा रहे थे कहीं भी, तो हमको बहुत दिक्कतें हुई इस चीजों को मैनेज करने के लिए. क्योंकि उधर ही हमने देखा कि ऑक्सीजन प्लांट में भी, क्योंकि वहां ऑक्सीजन की बहुत कमी हो रही थी, तो हम लोगों ने वहां पे भी फोकस करना शुरू किया. अब इतने मल्टीपल बिजनेसेस, हालांकि फायदा भी यही होता है, व्हेन यू हैव गॉट मल्टीपल बिजनेसेस यू गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ डाइवर्सिफिकेशन. सो ऑलवेज एन एन एंटरप्रेन्योर यू नोट that you should never put all your eggs in one basket. Apply the strategy of diversification. But then again, प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी हम लोगों को. इधर हम लोग ब्लेंडेड टीचिंग पेडागोगी अपना इस्तेमाल करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, हाइब्रिड मेथड में, ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन, ऑफलाइन ऑनलाइन, इस तरह से टीचिंग ट्रेनिंग टीचिंग उसमें जगल कर रहे थे. और इधर हम लोग फार्मा बिजनेस में भी कि कैसे खुद को मेंटेन किया जाए, क्योंकि हमारे जो कॉम्पिटिटर्स थे वो बहुत प्रॉफिट अर्न कर रहे थे बहुत सारा. तो हम वो एक लालच भी था कि ऐसा ना हो कि हम मिस आउट कर जाएं. बट यस, हमने अपने ग्रीड पे काबू किया एंड टू बी. और आज हम फील करते हैं कि कभी कभी एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर आपको अपनी एथिकलिटी पे भी बहुत रिलाई करना पड़ता है. कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू फॉलो. और मीनवाइल हम लोगों ने उसी समय, उसी के आसपास हमने अपने एनजीओज और एनपीओज भी डाले थे. तो उन दोनों एनजीओज के थ्रू भी हम लोगों को सोशल सर्विस दे रहे थे, और हेल्थ कैंप्स वगैरह हो रहे थे, हेल्थ चेकअप्स वगैरह हो रहे थे, मोटिवेशनल क्लासेस करा रहे थे, योगा एंड ऑल इस तरह की चीजें, इम्यूनिटी बिल्डिंग सेशंस करा रहे थे ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन. तो इस तरीके की बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज करने से फायदा ये हुआ कि हमारी ब्रांड इक्विटी बहुत बढ़ी, एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी बहुत बड़ी मार्केट में. ठीक है, पैसे कम कमाए लेकिन गुडविल बहुत कमाया. तो एज अ बिजनेस एंटरप्रेन्योर कोशिश ये करनी चाहिए कि आपको अपने लालच पे भी काबू हो. अगर आप दूर तक चलना चाहते हैं, लॉन्ग टर्म सस्टेन करना चाहते हैं, तो शॉर्ट टर्म गेन्स को थोड़ा सा दरकिनार करिए. और हाँ, विजनरी बनिए. जैसे हमें लगा कि इट इज द राइट मोमेंट टू ब्रिंग इन द डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, चूंकि उस समय बहुत टेक बेस्ड कंपनीज का तो फायदा हो रहा था. वो लोगों ने अच्छे खासे दाम पे अपने टेक्नोलॉजिकल सॉल्यूशंस बेची, लेकिन हम चूंकि ऑन दी बेगर्स साइड थे तो हमने उसको परचेज किया, क्योंकि इस भरोसे के साथ कि हम अपने बच्चों को एक कंटिन्यूड सर्विस, अपने पेरेंट्स गार्जियंस का जो भरोसा है उसको मेंटेन रख पाएंगे और उनको एक कंटिन्यूड क्वालिटी एजुकेशन ऑनलाइन भी दे पाएंगे. तो हमने आमूल चूल परिवर्तन किए अपने स्कूल में. एंड आई एम सो प्राउड टू टेल दैट इन दैट रीजन वी आर दी 100% टेक इनेबल्ड स्कूल. इन दैट रीजन वी आर काउंटेड वन ऑफ द फाइनेस्ट स्कूल. तो ये फायदा हमें मिला. लेकिन मुझे ये भी समझ में आ गया कि मेडिकल बिजनेस एक जगह है, मतलब, और एजुकेशन एक जगह है, लेकिन जो फ्यूचर है वो लाइफस्टाइल इंप्रूवमेंट में लाई करता है। हमारी खुद की इम्यूनिटी स्ट्रांग होनी चाहिए, हमको बाहरी चीजों पर नहीं। आत्मनिर्भर भारत की बात करते हैं हमारे पीएम मोदी जी। डेफिनेटली एक व्यक्ति को भी अपने फिनेंशियल जीवन में, अपने मटेरियल जीवन में आत्मनिर्भर होना चाहिए, साथ ही साथ अपने इमोशनल और स्पिरिचुअल जीवन में भी आत्मनिर्भर होना चाहिए। ये कोविड टाइम ने मुझे सिखाया, मुझे क्या बहुतों को सिखाया। तो मेरे मन में भी ये हुआ कि अब जो अगला लक्ष्य है वो एजुकेशन और मेडिकल छोड़ के वेलबींग यानी वेलनेस या वेलबींग का है। तो अब हमने जो मार्कअप किया अपने लिए गोल, तो फिर मैंने एक नई कंपनी डाली जनवरी 2021 में, मैनसोफी। मेरी ये ऑलरेडी ये कंसल्टेंसी फॉर्म थी सिंस 2017, बट इसको मैं अपने एनजीओ के तहत चला रही थी, लेकिन अब मैंने इसको फुल्ली कन्वर्ट किया कॉर्पोरेट स्टाइल में। और ये एक लाइफस्टाइल इंप्रूवमेंट या मैनेजमेंट या फिर कह लीजिए विजडम एंड वेलबींग की कंपनी अब बन चुकी है, जिसका ओरिएंटेशन यही है कि हम वैदिक रिसर्च करें, जो हमारा इंडियन कल्चरल हेरिटेज है, जो उसके छुपा हुआ ज्ञान है। जैसे भी हुआ कि गांव में भी बहुत सारा ज्ञान है, बहुत सारे ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज सिस्टम है जिसको हम टैप नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। वी शुड बी एबल टू टैप दोज ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज सिस्टम्स एंड ब्रिंग इट इनटू प्रैक्टिकल मॉडर्न एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड थिंग्स। प्रोटोटाइप्स बनाए जिससे कि हम इनका मॉडर्न एप्लीकेशन करें। तो मेरे को ये समझ में आ गया कि एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर मुझे ट्रेडिशनल विजडम, क्लासिकल इंडियन विजडम को उठाना है, वैदिक रिसर्च करना, बिकॉज आई एम अ रिसर्चर बाय इंस्टिंक्ट। मैं खुद एक डॉक्टरल स्टूडेंट रिसर्चर रही हूँ, तो रिसर्च करना है। और ये भी समझ में आ गया है कि आपको, किसी भी व्यक्ति को बिना अपने प्रीमाइसेस रिसर्च से स्ट्रॉन्ग किए बगैर मार्केट में नहीं उतरना चाहिए। और मार्केट में उतरने से पहले आपको उस पे आईपीआरस ले लेने चाहिए टू प्ले अ सेफर गेम। आपके पास कॉपीराइट्स, ट्रेडमार्क्स, पेटेंट्स, ये सारे होने चाहिए इफ यू वांट टू फाइट इन अ लॉन्गर ड्यूरेशन। बिना पायरेट हुए अगर आप काम करना चाहते हैं तो ये आईपीआरस आपको लेने चाहिए। तो मुझे ये, मैं आप सभी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को या एस्पायरिंग जो भी बच्चे हैं यहाँ पे, स्टूडेंट्स हैं, उनको यही बोलूंगी कि पहले तो आप कोई इनोवेटिव प्रोडक्ट रिसर्च करिए, उसका विजडम गार्नर करिए, उस विजडम को प्रैक्टिकल सोल्यूशन में कन्वर्ट करिए, एक प्रोटोटाइप बनाइए, आइडिया का प्रोटोटाइप बनाइए। लेकिन मार्केट में जाने से पहले, उसको लॉन्च करने से पहले उसका एक कॉपीराइट, पेटेंट या ट्रेडमार्क ले लीजिए, और उसके बाद फिर मार्केट में जाइए। मीनवाइल साइड बाय साइड एक काम और करना है, वो क्या है? नो योर कस्टमर्स एंड नो योर नेटवर्क। एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर कभी ये भूल नहीं करनी है, हम अपने कस्टमर्स यानी क्लाइंट्स को भी फॉर ग्रांटेड नहीं ले सकते। हमको उनकी साइकोग्राफिक्स, उनकी डेमोग्राफिक्स, उनकी चीजों को भी समझने की जरूरत है। उनके पेन पॉइंट्स को समझ के ही हम उनको सोल्यूशन देंगे, तभी वो उस जो हम सोल्यूशन दे रहे हैं उसको वो एक्सेप्ट करेंगे और हमको इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेवेन्यू रिवॉर्ड करेंगे। साथ ही साथ आपको अपना खुद का नेटवर्क समझने की, जैसे मुझे पता चल गया कि मैं एक एकेडमिक्स से जुड़ी हुई व्यक्ति हूँ, जो कि एजुकेशन लाइन से बिलोंग करती हूँ। आई एम एन एजुकेशनिस्ट, आई एम एन एकेडमिशियन, तो मैं एक प्रैक्टिसिंग एकेडमिशियन हो सकती हूँ। तो मेरी इंडस्ट्री हमेशा एजुकेशन, ट्रेनिंग, कंसल्टिंग ही रहेगी। तो आई हैव एक्चुअली नाउ, मैं अपने आप को सेटल आउट कर रही हूँ, मैं फोकस कर रही हूँ कि मैं कैसे अपने सारे जो मेरा एक्वायर्ड नॉलेज और आज तक का एक्वायर्ड नेटवर्क भी है, मेरा जो प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्क है, क्योंकि मेरे लाइक माइंडेड पीपल का नेटवर्क है, जो कि सभी एकेडमिशियंस हैं, एजुकेशनिस्ट हैं, सभी टीचर्स हैं, स्टूडेंट्स हैं। तो इन लोगों को कैसे टैप करना है? तो आपको अपने नेटवर्क और अपने कस्टमर दोनों की अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत अच्छी होनी चाहिए, KYC और KYN जिसको हम कहते हैं। तो उसी तरह हमने भी अपने आप को एकदम अब सेटल आउट कर लिया है कि आगे 10 साल जब तक कि कुछ और डिसरप्टिव नहीं होता और हमको कोई नया आइडिया नहीं आता एज एन बिजनेस एंटरप्रेन्योर, आई एम गोइंग टू गेट इनटू दिस वैदिक एंड पुरानिक रिसर्च, जहां पे मैं स्ट्रेटेजिक मैनेजमेंट के मॉडल्स डेवलप करती हूँ, उन पे IPR लेती हूँ। जैसे कि मैंने अभी एक योगा टेक्निक, जो लॉर्ड विष्णु की योग निद्रा पे बेस्ड है, अनंतशय योग करके एक टेक्निक पे मैंने अभी कॉपीराइट और IPR और ट्रेडमार्क लिया है अपना। और एक ऐसा मॉडल भी बनाया है कैरियर काउंसलिंग के लिए, जो ये दीज आर ऑल एम्पिरिकली रिसर्च बेस्ड मॉडल्स, जिसको हमने बकायदा लोगों पे टेस्ट किया है और स्टैटिस्टिकली सिग्निफिकेंट होने पे ही इसको हमने, इसके पेपर्स भी पब्लिश्ड हैं, इस पे किताबें भी पब्लिश्ड हैं। तो इस तरीके से हम जो भी साइंटिफिक डिराइव कर रहे हैं क्लासिकल विजडम से, वैदिक विजडम से, पौराणिक विजडम से, उसको हम उसका एक एप्लीकेशन पार्ट डेवलप कर रहे हैं, एक प्रैक्टिकल पार्ट डेवलप कर रहे हैं, एक मॉडल बना रहे हैं, स्ट्रेटेजिक मैनेजमेंट मॉडल्स बना रहे हैं, जिसको हम अपने कंपनी के तहत एक एज अ सर्विस पैकेज या सर्विस ब्रांड कह लीजिए या प्रोडक्ट प्रोटोटाइप कह लीजिए, हम उसके तरीके से लॉन्च करते हैं और फिर लोगों को उसको सर्विसेज, जिसमें के योगा एंड मेडिटेशन की टेक्निक्स हैं, हमने वैदिक एस्ट्रोलॉजी और साइकोलॉजी और न्यूमरोलॉजी, इन तीनों को फील्ड्स को जोड़ के हमने एक्यूरेट करियर प्रिडिक्शंस कैसे करें किसी व्यक्ति का, कैसे इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग सेशंस दें उसको करियर रिलेटेड एस्पेक्ट्स पे, इस पे एक पैन मॉडल बनाया है। उसी के अलावा भी हम फर्दर रिसर्च कर रहे हैं कि वैदिक एस्ट्रो वास्तु बिजनेस कंसल्टिंग कैसे करें, क्योंकि यू सी रिलीजन और स्पिरिचुअलिटी इज वेरी मच टाइड इनटू आवर लाइव्स, बी इट बी बिजनेस। आप कोई बिजनेस में जाते हैं, लोग बोलते हैं कि बिजनेस और स्पिरिचुअलिटी आर टू डिफरेंट थिंग्स। आई डोंट बिलीव सो। आप जैसे इंटरनली होते हैं, फिलोसॉफिकली होते हैं, जैसी आपकी आइडियोलॉजी होती है, जैसे आपका फेथ होता है, वैसे ही स्ट्रैटेजिक लीडर आप बनते हैं, वैसे ही फर्म आप डालते हैं, वैसे ही आपका वर्क कल्चर क्लाइमेट होता है, आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वैसी ही चलती है। तो और ये इंट्रिंसिकली और इंटीग्रली लिंक्ड है, इंटरलिंक्ड है। आप देखिए, आप दुकान खोलते हैं तो सुबह आप भगवान की पूजा करते हैं, भाई खाता अकाउंट्स खोलते हैं तो आप भगवान की पूजा करते हैं, शाम को जब बंद करते हैं तो संध्या करते हैं। आप हमेशा अपने लिए शुभ लाभ की आकांक्षा रखते हैं, आप चाहते हैं कि आप पे एक ब्लिस बना रहे, जो भी सुपर नेचुरल पावर है या जो भी हमारा सुपर ह्यूमन पावर है या कॉस्मिक एनर्जी है, जिसको हम भगवान कहते हैं, देवता कहते हैं, अपना आराध्य कहते हैं, उनका ब्लिस हमारे ऊपर बना रहे, हमारे बिजनेस पे भी बना रहे। तो ये इंट्रिंसिकली लिंक्ड है। जैसे कोई बच्चा पैदा होता है तो उसके हम लोग ढेर सारी पूजा कराते हैं, उसी तरह आपने नोटिस किया होगा कि जब शुभ मुहूर्त लिया जाता है बिजनेस ओपन करने के लिए, कोई शुभ काम करने को, कोई प्रोजेक्ट साइन करने के लिए, यस दिस इज ट्रूथ, मतलब हम लोग भी करते हैं। तो मैंने इस पे ये सोचा कि जब हम इसको इतना करते हैं तो वी शुड टेक इट मोर प्रोफेशनली। इसको हम बहुत प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज दे सकते हैं, कंसल्टिंग सर्विसेज देते हैं, और इसका साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट मेंटेन करते हुए, मतलब सुपरस्टिशियस वे में नहीं, साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट मेंटेन करें। तो बेसिकली ये मेरी पूरी एंटायर जर्नी थी 2009 से 2022 तक एज एन वीमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर। लेकिन कहीं भी मुझे ऐसा फील नहीं हुआ कि मुझे पैट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी या लोगों का सपोर्ट नहीं मिला। मुझे तो लगता है मुझे बहुत अच्छे पेरेंट्स, बहुत अच्छे फ्रेंड्स, मेंटर्स, गुरुज, गाइड, प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्क, सभी लोग बहुत कोलैबोरेटिव, बहुत हेल्पफुल मिले। तो मेरी जर्नी काफी स्मूथ रही। हाँ, दिक्कत कहाँ होती थी? डेफिनेटली फंड्स और फाइनेंस, आज भी होती है। फंड्स और फाइनेंसेस एक ऐसा पार्ट है ना जिसको आप मतलब आपको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा कि, और बहुत बार मेरे पास चांसेस थे कि मैं जाऊं और वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट या एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स में, मतलब बिकॉज दे आर सेवरल राउंड्स कि आप जाते हैं, आप अपना प्रेजेंट करते हैं, तो वो सारी चीजें थी। लेकिन देन यू हैव अ फियर ऑफ लूजिंग इक्विटी। इक्विटी इज समथिंग कि इट इज अ बिग एसेट। तो एक डिसीजन ये लेना कि हाउ मच इक्विटी you are ready to forego during the process of establishment and running of your business. This is a very critical decision. So आपको क्या करना चाहिए, अब ये तो आपका अपना आपकी अपनी प्रायोरिटी है। I never went for diluting equity. मैं आज भी 51% शेयर होल्डर हूँ मेरे बिजनेसेस में, तो मैं अपनी इक्विटी नहीं डाइल्यूट करना चाहती हूँ। हाँ, पहला मेरा कोशिश यही रहता है कि इंटरनल फाइनेंसिंग हो थ्रू फ्रेंड्स एंड फैमिलीज, थ्रू माय ओन सेविंग्स। इसीलिए मैं आज भी जॉब करती हूँ, नौकरी करती हूँ, और मैं अपने नौकरी के जितने मेरे सैलरी है, सारा पैसा मैं अपने बिजनेसेस में डालती हूँ, फिर मैं वहां से अर्न करने की कोशिश करती हूँ, और फिर अर्न करके फिर उसको रीडिप्लॉय करती हूँ। एक लालच और नहीं करनी है कि बिजनेस अगर प्रॉफिट बना रहा है तो आपने शुरुआत में ही, जब बिजनेस आपका चाइल्ड है तभी आप उसके प्रॉफिट को रीप करने लगे मार्केट स्कीमिंग करके, आप वो नहीं करेंगे। आप पहले उसको स्टेबल होने तक, उसको इंट्रोडक्टरी फेज में आप उसको पैसे, जो फंडिंग है ना, उसको आप कैश उसका जनरेट हो भी रहा है तो आप कैश को रीडिप्लॉय करेंगे ताकि आपका बिजनेस आगे बढ़े। तो थोड़ा सा कंट्रोल रखना है। इसीलिए कहा जाता है बिजनेसमैन हैज टू बी वेरी पेशेंट पर्सन। वो इस लाइफ में अपने लिए नहीं कर रहा है, वो अपनी कमिंग जनरेशंस के लिए कर रहा है। तो ये सारे कुछ फिलोसफीज हैं, बट एक कुछ बातें जो स्पेशली आपको याद रखनी चाहिए वो ये है कि पहले तो अपने अंदर ये हिम्मत रखिए, ताकत रखिए, जोश रखिए कि आप कुछ नया अनएक्सपेक्टेड और अनबिलीवेबल कर सकते हैं। और स्पेशली वो करिए जो आपका पैशन है, जो आपका स्पेशल इंटरेस्ट है, जिसमें आपका खुद का बहुत अच्छा स्किल है, तभी आप अपने ड्रीम्स को रियलाइज कर पाएंगे। और मैं तो खास तौर पे सारी वीमेन को यही कहना चाहूंगी कि आप सफल हो रही हैं तो बेस्ट है, लेकिन आप अपने साथ में अपनी और अपने जो सखियां हैं, जो आपकी फेलो वीमेन, एस्पायरिंग बिजनेस वीमेन हैं, उनको भी, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं, उनको भी हेल्प करिए सक्सीड होने में। और अपने लोगों के साथ जो लाइक माइंडेड, वो चाहे मेल हो चाहे फीमेल हो, ऐसे प्रोफेशनल लोगों का एक स्ट्रॉन्ग नेटवर्क बनाइए जो आपको हर कदम पे हेल्प कर सके। ये बहुत मायने रखता है, प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्क बहुत मायने रखता है। एंड देन ट्राई बीइंग अ साउंड डिसीजन मेकर, प्रैग्मेटिक, थोड़ा प्रैक्टिकल हमें बनने की। एम्बिशियस होना अच्छी बात है, लेकिन ओवर एम्बिशियस नहीं होना है। कॉन्फिडेंट होना अच्छी बात है, लेकिन जीरो कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं लाना है अपने अंदर। लीडर होना अच्छी बात है, लेकिन स्ट्रैटेजिक लीडर बनना है, मतलब बहुत दूरदृष्टि के साथ सोचना है और रैशनल डिसीजन मेकिंग करनी है, बाउंडेड रैशनैलिटीज के। तो ये सब चीजें, ये सब स्किल्स धीरे धीरे आता है विद एक्सपीरियंस, विद एज। ये कोई ओवरनाइट भी नहीं है कि आज मैंने आपको बताया, आप सीख गए और कल से आपने उसको लागू करना शुरू कर दिया। ये नहीं होता, हर केस यूनिक होता है, उसमें यूनिक स्टेप्स लेने पड़ते हैं। हाँ, कुछ बेसिक बेंचमार्क्स होते हैं, कुछ गेम के थंब रूल्स होते हैं, वो फॉलो करने से बहुत लाभ तो रहता ही है। तो और इसमें तो मैं ज्यादा बात नहीं करूंगी, क्योंकि अलग अलग क्षेत्र में, मतलब अलग अलग स्टेट्स में, अलग अलग रीजन्स में बहुत सारे अलग अलग स्कीम्स हैं। स्पेशली झारखंड में क्या स्कीम्स हैं मुझे बहुत जानकारी नहीं है, अपने यहाँ कुछ स्कीम्स हैं। लेकिन एज एन स्मॉल माइक्रो एंटरप्रेन्योर है क्या ना, हम सारी बिजनेस वीमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर, ज्यादातर महिलाएं माइक्रो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स होती हैं, तो उनको जल्दी रेडिली थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे जेंडर बायसनेस आ ही जाता है कि एक तो हम खुद फाइनेंशियली वो लिटरेट नहीं मानी जाती, मतलब हम लोग को एक्यूमेन माना जाता है कि फाइनेंशियली बहुत, हम लोग बहुत फाइनेंशियल मैटर्स में बहुत साउंड नहीं है। मैंने ऐसा टेंडेंसी देखा, जैसे बैंक वगैरह में गए तो दे आर लाइक कि मैडम आप अपना स्त्री धन देके आप गोल्ड लोन ले सकती हैं, मतलब उनको कोलेटरल चाहिए, उनको गारंटी चाहिए। अगर हमारे नाम पे कोई प्रॉपर्टी एसेट नहीं होती है, वो या तो पिता की प्रॉपर्टी होती है या पति की प्रॉपर्टी होती है, या फिर अभी कोई एसेट्स एसेट वो बनाते भी हमारे नाम के हैं, तो हम उसको इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकते अपने सिग्नेचर्स यूज करके। वी हैड टू टेक परमिशन फ्रॉम देम, या वो जाए गारंटी दें, कोलैटरल्स दें, सिक्योरिटी दें, तब हमको इंटरेस्ट पे लोन वगैरह मिलता है। तो है प्रॉब्लम्स, तो डेफिनेटली है, प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, लेकिन घबराने की कोई बात नहीं है। जहां चाह होती है वहीं राह होती है। देयर आर सो मेनी स्कीम्स, गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम्स है। अब जैसे श्री शक्ति पैकेज है, स्टैंड अप इंडिया है, आपका आपका डिजिटल इंडिया है, उद्योगनी स्कीम है। सर ने बताया है, हमारे जो को पैनलिस्ट थे उन्होंने आपको काफी कुछ बताया है। अगर आपको इंडिविजुअल कंसल्टिंग चाहिए होगी तो हम आपको फर्दर इंडिविजुअली बता पाएंगे, वो भी हम दे देंगे। तो की टेक अवे की हम बात करें तो ये यही है कि पहले तो हमको जेंडर सेंसिटिविटी, एवरी वन ऑफ अस, विच आई बिलीव कि मोर और लेस एग्जिस्ट करता है इंडिया में। स्पेशली अब कोई बायसनेस उतनी नहीं रही रूरल सबर्ब्स या अर्बन एरियाज में। हाँ, पर्सनल लेवल पे लोगों के अंदर है थोड़ी बहुत, लेकिन ठीक है, वो टाइम के साथ डाइल्यूट होगी, ऐसा पूरा भरोसा है। हम लोगों को स्पेशली वीमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को वीमेन फ्रेंडली इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटीज चाहिए। जैसे ये बहुत जरूरी है, जैसे मुझे खुद अपने बच्चों के लिए बेबी सिटर रखने में बहुत दिक्कत हुई। यहाँ बनारस जैसे शहर में भी बेबी सिटिंग का कोई कंसेप्ट नहीं है। आई हैड टू लुक फॉरवर्ड टू कि कहाँ से कैसे, क्रैशेस वगैरह नहीं है, एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करते, मतलब है डे केयर स्कूल्स हैं लेकिन उस तरह के प्रोफेशनल नहीं है। तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम हुई कि कैसे हम इसको मैनेज करें, क्या करें। एक तरीका तो ये भी हो सकता है कि हम खुद ही उस प्रॉब्लम को देख रहे हैं तो हम उसका सोल्यूशन जनरेट कर लें, लेकिन हर बार ये प्रैक्टिकल नहीं होता है कि हम, जैसे एजुकेशन सेक्टर में प्रॉब्लम है, मेरा बच्चा दूसरे स्कूल में पढ़ता है, डेफिनेटली मेरे स्कूल में नहीं पढ़ता, बिकॉज मेरा स्कूल आजमगढ़ में और मैं बनारस में स्टे करती हूँ, अपने बच्चे को अपने साथ रखती हूँ, अपने उसका देखभाल खुद करती हूँ। तो अब उसके लिए मैं स्कूल यहाँ बनारस में भी डाल दूं, ऐसा संभव नहीं। उसी तरह मेरा छोटा बेटा है 1.5 साल का, तो उसके लिए मैं क्रश डाल दूं, वो भी संभव नहीं। आई हैव टू रिलाई ऑन अदर प्रोफेशनल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो कि they should be doing justice with their services, which hardly happens at suburb and rural background.
Dr. Aparna, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Sir, this is Dilip. Sir, Dr. Aparna is facing some problems, sir. After a few minutes, she will join, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you. Now,
Within minute, yes. Thank you.
right. Okay. Now the platform is open. Now over to all the audiences. If you are having any questions, please come up with. Dr. Shubhendu Kumar Mishra is with us. If you are having any questions, please ask. Till the time, I'd request Dr. Shubhendu Kumar sir, can you please put the link regarding the government schemes provided, you said, for the women entrepreneurs. Few of the audiences had these questions, so that all the.
What I'll do is I'll give you this PPT. Every scheme has a specific web page to be looked at. So if you click on the scheme, then probably you can get the details out for that. So I will share this presentation with you. Maybe you can further share it to whoever is interested.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. Thank you so much. Now we came to the concluding part of this session 2. Now, may I request Dr. Bhagwat Barik sir, Assistant Dean, for the formal vote of thanks.
Sir, she will be joining soon, sir. Dr. Aparna will be joining soon, sir. Just if we can wait for another 2 minutes, sir.
Sure. Fine. Thank you, sir. So, till the time, yes. Anybody having any questions, please ask. Please.
Sir, I had one question. I had written that in chat box.
Yes, thank you. I think Aparna ma'am is entering.
And Neha, this question is for whom? Are you?
This is for Aparna ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I think she has joined.
Okay.
Better. She is the best example of doing job and.
Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself. Dr. Aparna, kindly unmute yourself.
Yes.
I'm extremely sorry. I got so engrossed in sharing my story. I could not keep a tab of that. My battery is draining.
But at the same time, we all admit the session was tremendously. It was excellent session. Like lot of our students, they are having a lot of questions. Even in chat box also, Dr. Aparna, you can see one question for you. As a layperson, women are still little apprehensive of becoming an entrepreneur, and they are more prone towards job. What do you think that this attitude and speculation should be?
Yes, actually, because as I said that women hardly get a professional mentorship, and they have less industry knowledge. That is why they are very apprehensive of going into this field particularly. But nowadays, all universities across India have got incubation and training centers. They are, because next phase of our country will be entrepreneurship 4.0. Industry 4.0 will be all about entrepreneurship only. So many startups are coming up, and there are so many mentors. There are so many professors, industry professionals, practitioners who are guiding people into. Even my startup is being guided in the NSRCEL of IIM Bangalore. So I got training. I was actually sponsored by National Commission for Women for this. So those women who are strongly into it, who want to do something of their own and are passionate about it, should go and talk and find out in their universities, especially from where they are taking education, that are there any such incubation centers, startup centers, development centers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aparna. I hope Neha, Priya, you got your answer right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Great.
And sorry for the glitches, the technical glitch.
Yeah, it's technical glitch. We can understand, very much understand. Like we are into the technical world right now. Anyway, now at this moment of time, may I request for a formal vote of thanks, Dr. Bhagwat Barik, Assistant Dean.
Thank you very much, Dr. Subrat Kumar De. Very good evening to all of you. We are very thankful to our Vice Chancellor, sir, for guiding and inspiring to conduct such type of session. And especially, this is a very, you can say, emerging topic where it is useful to the budding entrepreneurs and the students also. Sir, we are really thankful to you. At the same time, we are very grateful to our registered sir who supports to conduct such type of activities in this campus and through online mode. Nonetheless, we have two eminent panel members, I can say, experts in that area. Dr. Subhendu Kumar Mishra, sir. I know him, sir, very well. He was a brilliant student in EDI Ahmedabad. At the same time, we had Dr. Aparna Singh, madam, who had a very good educational background and also practicing managers and the recent entrepreneurship mentality and attitude she is doing from different parts of the India and the world. Sir and madam, we are really thankful to your presence and the guidance that you provided to our faculty members and the students in this place of the entrepreneurship and the type of things that is required for this today's area. We are really thankful to both of you for the valuable time and the type of the impeachment, the type of guidance that you provided to us. We are also thankful to our technical team who has supported and who has orchestrated all this particular program to make this program successful. At the same time, also we are thankful to our Minister of Education and Innovation Cell for giving such an tremendous opportunities to all of us to learn, to imbibe, and to practice in our day-to-day life the value and this perspective of the entrepreneurships in everybody's life. So we are really thankful to Minister of Education's Innovation Cell for conducting and giving such type of opportunity to our university. As a university, we have a very beautiful and small cell, innovation cell. We are really thankful to all these persons who are directly, indirectly involved with the innovation cell to make this program successful. And finally, we are really thankful to all the students and the faculty members, those who have participated in this particular program and stated and questioned and get these different things in a very different modes of approach to make this particular event successful. Thank you, everybody. Hope so. The days will go in a very beautiful and refreshment way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhagwat Barik, Assistant Dean, Management Department. Now, before concluding the ceremony and before a group pick, may I request Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, if you say a few words and bless us. Over to VC, sir.
Nothing but to say that it was an excellent session by both the speakers. It was very inspiring and very, very insightful to all the participants, and particularly for all our, the lady participants. So whether it is our faculty members, whether it is our students, for all of them, it is very, very, lot more motivating. And we have been talking of the role models. We can see a role model right away here. I think that is the role model. I think a lot of them, may like to follow. And likewise, in fact, in the presentation that is made by Dr. Subhendu Kumar Mishra was, excellent. He put in lots of efforts in collating and collecting, capturing data from so many sources. Thank you very much, sir, for putting all the efforts. So that's very good. Thank you, both of you. Really.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Vice Chancellor, ICFA University, Jharkhand. And now, may I request all of you, please switch on your camera for a group pic. May I request all of you, please switch on your camera for a group photograph.
Yep.
we have taken
Thank
Shubhra,
you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sudipto sir.
Thank you all very much.
Now, thank you all very much. Soon we will be with our next session with session 3. Thank you. Thank you so much.